All right, Vi coming in quick.
Vi banned first.
Yeah, that did not happen yesterday, and we did end up seeing a 3-game series that I don't think necessarily would have eventuated otherwise, but Bro will not allow Vi to be played this time around. The Rumble and Yone bans do make a lot of sense here, and Pantheon will be the jungler of choice. Between the Pantheon and the Xin Zhao, I think, was the big consideration. I think Pantheon has kind of risen, though, because his global presence is so relevant, and some of the nerfs to Xin Zhao don't make him irrelevant, but definitely feels like Pantheon is the worst of 2 evils. Let's see what this final ban is going to be here on blue side. Perhaps even a Varus ban wouldn't shock me, considering Bull's playstyle, his champion pool. I'll take away Closer's Ahri instead.
Yeah, definitely a target ban. You see a lot of like Taliyah and then first pick Azir for our teams that are higher up in the rankings, but I think at this level, just want to take away one of Closer's best picks, if not his best right now.
Could just see a Xin Zhao lock in here. Would be very safe, but otherwise a strong AD carry pick could fit the bill. As Jace also relevant here, but they want the Taliyah, which will also weaken the available Azir that you mentioned with Ahri gone as well. This does feel like, considering the bans, a very wise first pick here. I think the Korean side, all eyes on Bull for this rotation. That's why he's been put front and center on the camera. Can have a response here in mid and a AD carry pick, or you could prioritize jungle and AD carry and save that mid pick for third. There's a lot of time being used here from Bro. And despite the Taliyah pick that will lock Closer's Azir into it, I think there was probably some pushback on that one, but yeah, ultimately decide to go for it.
I mean, there's still like everything left up in this game, outside of the bans, obviously. We are playing Fearless, but it's game 1, so he could have gone for a Rise, he could have gone for a Victory, he could have gone for even a Silas. I mean, and instead he's just playing the one champ that Taliyah is really, really good into. I mean, Taliyah is just really, really good in general, but especially against Azir, as Xin Zhao does get locked in because it wasn't taken by Sponge.
Now, if they put Bull's pick in that 3rd spot, it would be blind, of course, assuming DRX don't lock in their AD carry pick here, so they're going to look for the Wukong. But it looks like they want to make sure Bull has at least counter pick if he's going to go for one of those aggressive picks. And the fact that they lock in the Xin Zhao here is a great boon for them. See the Scion to come through with this. Wukong gives you insane frontline. There's already so much objective control with this Taliyah. And things are starting to feel a little bit strong right now with what DRX have put together, whereas the Azir, the synergy with the Xin Zhao isn't quite there. And then the Yorick pick here for Morgan shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, especially with that face-up Scion. But now things get a little bit murky for the bottom lane. Bull won't necessarily be able to pick one of those strong laning picks that he is looking for. Again, he might just break his own playstyle here and play something completely different, but that's not what I'd expect based on the few games on stage here at LCK that he's played. See if he gets targeted here. The Alistar is always a safe bet on blue side as that first ban, 2nd phase.
I mean, Varus, Kalista, Draven, definitely where he's going to be looking. They're all available.
Yeah, all 3 of those.
I wouldn't put LazyFeel on playing like a Draven, so I wouldn't even be surprised if they try to pick up the Kalista, but against Taliyah, can be a bit of an issue, even with the Scion as well, not the best tank buster, so maybe going to look elsewhere.
And if they just ban Renata here, it feels like you've eliminated a lot of the synergy that Bull could pull out in that laning phase. Because you can't ban all of those other picks that synergize well with Renata that you mentioned, but you could just ban Renata instead. And I think that might be a wise option here for the side of DRX. They'll take the Varus that we talked so much about away first instead. And it could just be Renata, and then he's like, I'm happy to play Kalista, I'm happy to play Draven. What do you got in response, LazyFeel? The biggest problem is the Nico is still up, which is one of the best answers, of course, here for DRX. And this is a really intense moment, and, you know, the Varus is gone. It looks like he's just going to blind the Kalista, and they get to keep the option open between what's left between the Nico and the Renata here.
Yeah, and both will work pretty well. I think the Kalista is fine just because you have the Azir, you know, to deal with the Scion, and, you know, it's not great into the Taliyah, but, you know, Bull can probably make it work, the player that he is.
I also
We're looking
think
at the Nico.
The Nico is incredibly strong into Renata, but it's not a free win by any means. It has to be piloted well. So Nico does get locked here first, and what's going to be LazyFeel's option? A tough one, because again, this is one of the strongest laners from challengers you're going to see in Bull. And LazyFeel has been great out of the lane. So something that he's going to be able to pair up well with this Nico. It's
Like
looking
Xayah.
nervous. I think Xayah might be the correct call here. Kaisa, though.
Oh, Ezreal? Kaisa? Okay, Kaisa, Nico.
This works really well with their draft, though, because it's a draft that can both front to back really well, but can kind of dive in as well. When you consider the Nico, the Wukong they already have, the really strong front line, and the Taliyah warping objectives, I think it's a fairly risky call, but if piloted correctly, incredibly strong here. And the Renata was kind of a no-brainer, as this is what Bull does, right? So when we're all in these lanes, if the route doesn't connect for Andil, if you misstep, if you're caught out by for any reason, if Kroko goes for an earlier gank and Bull starts to get ahead, it gets really tough to play out. I do think they have the correct matchup here. They had a good read putting the Nico in. It's not a free win, like I said earlier, by any means, and I think that for DRX here, Yehu coming in as well after a long time, a long hiatus here, is going to be a big question. I think Closer pulling the Azir out into the Taliyah says he's got a vote of lack of confidence in this Taliyah pick. He's saying, I'm one of the best mids right now. Like, I'm having my best individual years, Wolf keeps saying.
Yeah.
And I don't care about the Taliyah being strong into Azir. I think I'm just the better player. Big confidence in the drafting, and I think predictable drafting, but smart drafting from Bro. DRX are going to be the ones who have to finesse.
Absolutely, as we have a lot of fans out here. As came from Frankfurt to watch DRX.
And the other guy just came from just the neighborhood right across the way. That's what he said, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't quite come as far.
It's almost as far as Ox is from Chronicler's house. Yeah, so pretty interesting drafts that we do have here. Kalista going to Bull in game number 1. Seems pretty good for him. Let's see how it goes here in this game number 1. Game number 1. Match 83. This week is the end of round 2, and then we'll move into Road to MSI. That'll be next week on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, so make sure you guys are tuning in for that.
Saw on the player cam, Bull grinning as we loaded in, and LazyFeel looking super serious, super focused. And I think for LazyFeel, on one hand, he's already kind of earned his spot, right? He's become the main starter, but Teddy is always lurking still, right? Like one of the most accomplished AD carries of all time, whereas Bull sees this as another opportunity. He got the champion. He's always enjoyed playing, right? He's ready to school LazyFeel here, whereas it feels like LazyFeel's defending his seat that he's rightfully earned, and I think there's been a lot of hype around him this season. He's been one of the most beloved rookies in 2025. Bull looks ready to ruin his day. And you don't get to see moments like this all too often, but this season, we've had so many call-ups, we've had so many substitutions, we've had so much experimentation. I think it's what a lot of people were expecting when we had the challenger system change where you could call up at any time. That never really happened, never really hit fruition until now, as Bull is looking for an aggressive level 1.
Yeah, should work pretty well for them. Even the tempo barrier coming in. Same for LazyFeel. But the Ren does come through at the end of it all. And a lot of CS miss from both sides. Doesn't really feel like Bull and Palu got a huge win in that trade.
Bull still has heal, though.
Yeah, the heal does come through. And now LazyFeel is going to be pushed out. So it wasn't good until they went for the second trade. And now they're feeling pretty good about this pressure.
Yeah, this is going to be really dangerous here for LazyFeel. We'll have to react to a flash play instantly if he wants to make sure that he can continue to stay in this lane. And frankly, I just don't think it's reasonable anymore. He's going to look for the recall here, and that's a huge win. Getting the early heal out of Andil means that they had that heal advantage to push forward one more time. Now level 2 advantage. They knew they were going to get it. And LazyFeel already, after the level 1 exchange and a good wraparound from Bull and Palu, massively behind.
Yeah. Well, at least the wave is going to push in, and he is going to miss. It looks like probably 2 or 3 minions. Not very good, as Bull and Palu get a nice back timing. Doesn't really feel like a cheater because it's just you just pushed your enemy out of the lane that early.
Yeah.
It's better than dying, So it doesn't look good, doesn't feel good, but at least you didn't get first blooded at level 2, which could have happened had you stuck around, been greedy, try to play for it.
it feels bad for LazyField that he doesn't have enough money to really buy anything relevant. You know, he buys refillable potions, and that's going to be helpful, but usually with these kind of trades, it's not about like, oh, they chipped away at me and I'm just going to heal and hang out. It's still relevant, it's still useful, but Bull gets an item that's going to help him in the lane and also going to be relevant for the rest of the game. So the longsword buy versus the refillable feels pretty rough, but see how the rest of this lane goes, because it is not, again, a good matchup, you know, into the Nico. And Andal has a lot of agency here now that he has level 3.
Yeah. Definitely the hardest part was early on. You see that Morgan, he got this free Yorick pick into the Scion. Scion, the blind pick for Rich. And, you know, a bit risky for sure. I think that Scion is very strong regardless, but especially with Yorick coming into the meta in such a big way, it does feel like when that's up in game number 1, can be very risky to just pick the Scion.
Rich has been pretty impressive on Scion, though, I have to say. And not just in staving off pressure and being a tanky boy later on, but I feel like his side laning has been pretty clean. He's really mastered the champion and looks very good on it. So feels like kind of like just two top laners who are playing and living their best life. Morgan's like, yeah, I want to play this into Scion. I want to play Yorick into Scion. And Rich is like, I want to play Scion into anything, and I'm just going to do fine. And I think that the Scion has a better role to play, team composition-wise, though, here for DRX. The Yorick is pre-medicated on a lot of control. Grubs, for example, being taken is really huge. As might have just cast her cursed a little bit.
Well, he's going to flash. I think as long as he doesn't die, it's fine. But certainly got himself into a rough spot. Was probably pushing that, trying to push in that wave, and got a little bit too ahead of himself. So unfortunate for him, but he can just TP back to the lane. And yeah, I feel like especially for our Rise teams, Rise group teams, playing the Yorick can be a little bit of a bait at times, where it's like, you know, it's a very difficult champion to play around, and a lot of our teams, even the best teams, don't only focus on team fighting and don't only focus on split pushing. They oftentimes feel forced into team fighting, and it comes back to bite them. So I am curious to see how Morgan does on it.
Yeah, we'll have to check in on that later. Sponge is looking for a steal, and he's just going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, there was a control ward that spotted him, but still, just a straight-up flip for the smite fight, as Sponge will go down. That's first blood given over to Bull. But I still feel like getting that dragon is worth it this early.
Oh, 100% agree with you, especially when you consider, like, it shouldn't be possible to get that dragon with the bottom side prio they had, which is why they started the dragon in the first place. Get into your due diligence to try to secure that and look for a slower Drake take so that it can't just be stolen away from you by the Wukong and get over the wall. Bro did everything they needed to in the bottom lane to start dragon, and it was the secure of the dragon that got a little bit murky, as ends up being a longer exchange here, as Sponge just goes over the wall here. They had the controller like you mentioned, but just able to press smite. And then we see Yehu come over here to try to salvage this, but it was a pipe dream. He is going to go down. So I think a worthwhile trade, though. He didn't flash either, knowing he was dead. So I'd say he's feeling pretty happy about that, and now potentially they can contest the grubs.
Yeah, should be able to. We saw WA TV yesterday talking about the different spacing in the objectives nowadays. WA TV is here today once again, but we're not going to go over it again. If you weren't paying attention yesterday, you missed it.
Oh, we did was like already locking in the timestamp right now, Valdez.
It's, you know, there's a dragon, and then there's the grubs, and then there's another dragon.
So look at what they've done, you know, leading into what you're saying. After they end up getting the steal, they swap top side, so they have LazyField and Andal up there. Rich comes down here with his ultimate to the bottom lane, so even though he doesn't have TP, he can outpace this Yorick using his ult, so he gets plates. So DRX get this value, have a little bit of top side control moving into this one. Sponge hits level 6, and it's really important for this Yorick to get 2 grubs, I think, is really what you want, but 3 ultimately would be the best case scenario. I just don't know if they're going to be able to do that at this stage. Now, Yehu does not have his Weaver's Wall back up just yet, but it should be ready in time for some zoning here. Closer does currently have Prio. And this angle for Sponge is, you know, fast track straight towards the grubs, and this is going to be a really important moment here. If DRX can get both objectives, it really takes a lot out of Bro's comp.
Yeah. There's that control ward in the back of the pit. And we talked a lot about how the grubs aren't all that nowadays, but still feels bad to just lose them for free. And
yeah, when you have a Yorick.
It's still an objective as well that get you the piece of strength. And as you mentioned, the Yorick, even the Azir can get some side lane pressure, depending. And as we can see, Krako's just not here. He's just going into the enemy jungle, and they know this is going on. So Krako's either trying to steal the red or trying to gank a Scion.
Yeah,
Stealing the red is fine, but like it's not as good as the drugs.
Closer's also just kind of chilling. Like, he didn't try to match Yehu or deny his rotation, nor did he go over with Krako. So he's not going to be able to do anything to Rich, and he's just going to catch this wave now. But yeah, 2 objectives going over here to DRX. Feeling really good about what the game state is for them. And even though the gold is dead even, I feel like they played this early game really well. And this Kalista got a little bit of value early and still up 200 gold, but the prio was what they were really looking for, and that steal just put a huge wrench into all the gears of Bro's early game. I love this composition, though, with Kalista Azir, because you do have that scaling later on. The Azir is going to be able to cut through the Scion, as you mentioned in draft. So it's not like, okay, they lost the first 2 objectives, now the whole game plan is ruined, but it doesn't feel like you got as much value as you could have.
Yeah. Not really sure what the issue was for Bro and why they were so apprehensive, but it is Bro, so, you know, just a little Bro and brew. I, once again today, am drinking water.
Valdez stays hydrated.
Nothing too interesting. I had a coffee yesterday.
Whoa.
That was T1 versus Hama Life, which we were like, hey, this is going to be so hype. And then Hama just shoved them into the ground.
Yeah, you'll have to remind me as a T1 Predator who was, you were also a T1 Predator. We were both
technically, yes.
Trying.
No, I didn't believe that they were going to win.
I was a believer, and I was proven wrong, but we don't, this is old history now, but rub it in, Valdez.
I didn't mention the Preds.
Yeah, you did mention the series that you thought might be interesting but wasn't.
Yeah.
And so that kind of reminded
It was supposed to be interesting. We have another one of those not yesterday, not tomorrow, later today.
Yeah, in like
KT
one
versus
series.
Gen G, which it's not supposed to be interesting, but it might be interesting. So it's like the opposite.
Look at how many minions are being lost in the reswap here. Bull gets the end of that wave on the bottom lane, and Morgan loses a full wave nearly, it looks like here, because he didn't quite have his teleport. It's like 10 seconds away. And you can see, you know, DRX are just playing the map better, playing this early game really well. And it's these small things like losing half a wave here, losing a full wave there that aren't going to be reflected in your 17.1 to 17.2 gold lead, but it's small advantages starting to be generated across the map, and we're going to see potentially a contest here. I say that Yehu will have to TP in first. Okay, decides to stop his back. He has Weaver's Wall, but they're just too slow, and Bro, this time they're going to get the objective for free, and maybe more.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to look for Sponge here, who does have flash and ult, but the flash on him from Krako catches him off guard, and Sponge, he just dies. It just felt like there were so many ways for him to get out of that, and he just elected not to.
Yeah, that was a little bit bizarre, especially after just a no contest there. You know, just kind of stayed around the area. You could see there were some moments of hesitation. Like I saw on the minimap, Yehu channels most of his back, then stops his back, but doesn't rotate over. Like clearly there was miscommunication, or at least split calls on that dragon take. Because Yehu had Weaver's Wall, but he wanted to go back and get his first item, or some components rather. Doesn't quite have enough money for first item, but yeah, that just did not work out at all. Speaking of first item, Closer does have his Nashor's Tooth completed after that kill that he picked up there onto the Wukong, so he's feeling very good about his side lane pressure angles in this one, despite not having grubs.
I mean, Sponge and Yehu, they've probably played together in the past, but definitely not as much as Closer and Krako have played together. So Lazyfield taking a million sticks into him as the Ren should come through, but the Renata ult is totally going to miss, as we do have Lazyfield to just get popped as Bull waits for it, knows how to play with the Renata, still has the bell, but he does go down after the fact. The Sponge just barely going to clean that one up. Still a winning trade here for Bro.
Not sure if it was just a lot of tension relieved in his arms there, or if he was feeling himself after that one, put his hands off the keyboard up into the air. Ends up picking up his third kill of the game there in the end, right before he goes down. The bailout timing really nicely done, despite the ultimate there from Palu really not doing too much. Just Bull really knowing his all-in range there for how much he could actually pull off in this skirmish. So 3 kills to this Callista. That, you know, when you're casting Bull, which only comes around once, like a full moon, you know, when Bull comes through, you just know what you're going to get, right? And we knew it in draft. We mentioned it. Bates Call comes out here. Good flash from Lazy Field. The Renata ultimate here, unfortunately, just a little bit wide, and yet still Bull is able to time the Rend here on the bailout, gets the kill, and takes out the Nico here just in time with his last martial pose. You can see the arms I was telling him there. I think he wasn't happy with how that all went down. He's probably got some choice words for Palu, but ended up still playing it super well himself. Picks up 3 kills.
Yeah, I mean, still worth. He set up the whole play. Nice timing on the ult and, you know, some counter flashes and stuff like that. But I like how he waited until he went into the bailout to press the Rend. It's just 100% secure on the Kai'Sa. Lazyfield knew he was dead as well, but, like, what can you do at that point? Just try to auto in. And now Lazyfield really needs to be careful about stepping up to the wave without the Nico, because Nico's there, you know, maybe Bull can like flash on in, but that's extremely aggressive. But Lazyfield was just alone, right? And he just took a bunch of autos, and that's what kind of started that entire issue there.
Yeah, now the Blade of the Rune King is done, so will not be able to really have any chance of getting out of there, especially flashless, if that engage does, or the exchange does come through. And, you know, it's moments like these that, you know, a color commentator dreams of, where you set up the narrative. Bull should be winning this lane. You know, this is what he's good at, and it all just kind of falls into the patterns that you know, we've all been watching for this player. And Bull is so unique as a player because he's so good at this one specific skill set. But when you watch him unleashed, man, it is a real treat.
Yeah, we just got to see him be able to bring this lane pressure with these kills and actually be able to carry on into the mid game. As Sponge is going to go for the ult. Feels like more of a zoning ult. Quite literally, just to zone a little space for him to get out. The TP does come out from closer, but DRX had already backed quite a bit.
Yeah, the timing of this a little bit early for a Dragon take. If Dragon's not up for another minute, they're just going to go, well, you know what is up? We'll walk over to the other objective. We were all fighting around a Dragon pit where the Dragon's a little bit late, but we'll take this Herald instead. They still have the Weaver, or sorry, not the Weaver's Wall, the Emperor's Divide. Yehu trying to find potentially an angle here to contest from the left side of the top lane, but I just don't see it.
Sponge doesn't have his ult, so you're missing one of your main engage options. They're still going to try to go for it. As the wall comes down, Palu in a bit of trouble, but it's Callista Renata, so yeah, just able to press a button. Trading ultimates, I suppose.
Yeah, unfortunately for Yehu and Sponge, the woes of this lack of synergy do continue as Ondil.
Going in, Ondil might be in a little trouble. No, he's actually totally fine. Yeah, does get away. Meanwhile, trying to create space here for the next Dragon.
I mean, Yehu's doing a decent amount of damage here. Health bar is pretty low. And so forcing a fight here without Emperor's Divide will be a little bit tricky. Yehu taking a big chunk of damage, though. And now, I mean, Morgan having prio bottom side. Perhaps they can actually fight for this Dragon. Yehu does have teleport, but won't have his Weaver's Wall, so he can actually channel this back. We'll see if he finishes it this time. The answer is yes. Now, this is going to be a big fight here. Both teams not really fully set up, but Yehu having full health here is actually just going to go to the top lane, and I think that might be the contest, or the give, rather.
I mean, Sponge is here. He has his ult. He has his. He's about to get his flash, actually. The timing was uncanny that he was about to be ready for it. Now we're just having a TP behind them, and again, Yehu doesn't have TP, so he can't be part of this fight. Morgan coming in here on the Yorick, and not the best flanking character, but in this angle, I feel like it's very good, as Morgan is going to pick up the kill. And now they got a Rift Herald in mid, and yes, DRX got the mid turret, but that's all they're going to get. They're going to lose their mid turret, and they lost the Drake. A bit of pressure in top, but Yehu, he just kind of decided, I'm not helping my team. I'm not sure what's going on here.
Yeah, I do think there's clearly a bit of an issue communication-wise between mid and jungle in this one. I mean, you called it out early, but we've seen it now like basically 3 times where there've been some indecisive moments for DRX, and Bro just, they won't hesitate. I mean, this is a team that has had pretty good macro here in round 2, and they just pulled the trigger. Sure, they did kind of miss on that Dragon earlier. The Grubs did go over, but otherwise have had full control. And Bro wishes they had 3 Grubs. I think with the game state especially, DRX wish they had some Mountain Dragons, because they're the ones with the Scion and the Wukong in their composition, as this is just a really great call from Morgan. So obviously seeing the TP of the Talia topside, knowing she doesn't have Weaver's Wall, you're like, well, it's illegal for you to take this turret. It will not go unpunished, and we have Rift Herald to counter. So we get Dragon, we get mid-turret trade, and yes, you know, a little bit of extra pushing and some extra farming did go over to Yehu, and he has a 500 gold lead because he hasn't joined these fights and has otherwise spent some time farming. But, you know, when he hits his 2 items, it's going to feel nice, but is it kind of too late? Like, was it worth it is the real question we have to ask, and right now it feels like no.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very worth. And I think, bro, every time they get a Mountain Drake, they're going to be very happy. And it's not because they have a traditional tank on their team. It's because they have Kalista.
Yeah, Kalista builds tanky. And, like, if we go to super late game, we'll have, like, a Jack shows. And here's a Weaver's Wall.
Little opportunity here. Palu just going to set up his ult. Krako is Xinjiao. And Fate's Call available. Nice angle here, though, for Rich to come in from the top lane. Krako in a bit of trouble. Just flashes away. Closer, though, getting to work on the bottom side. And Sponge can't get the kill onto Krako as they go so deep for it. But now Closer is alone. Flashing in by himself. As Bull going to take a massive Scion stun to the face and just die. No Ren comes through. Krako also goes down, and DRX turned this fight around somehow, some way, as it was a very messy one. And Yehu will pick up the double kill. Morgan just in top pushing.
Messi does not do it justice for this. Like, this fight looked like it was going to start off great for DRX, but they chased too deep. And it's the second time in a row where they Weaver's Wall engage onto Palu, who has his ult available and can be Fates called away by Bull. So, you know, we watch this replay, notice the beginning of the fight looks like, oh, maybe we've got an angle here. And then they chase deep onto Krako. So engaging onto a Renata, normally kind of a fine decision, especially if she's just alone, man. You get an ultimate out, you're like, cool, this is super high value. But she gets Fates called out. Rich's angle here almost saves the play, but Krako is Xinjiao, so killing him is, it's just not going to happen. They don't have the damage. Sponge gets knocked up as well, which is really important. But then on the other side of the fight, Closer hard chases here and doesn't hit his Emperor's Divide, which was bizarre. And then Bull wants to go for some extra Ren damage and just eats the big knockup from Rich and then dies. And then Krako gets shoved back. And DRX, despite some of their mistakes in the early part of this fight, do end up cleaning up because Bro just over-indexed on the wrong moments. Yehu feeling himself, and he is the most fed member on their team. He ends up cleaning up. Now he's got 2 items. Now he's 1,000 gold up over Closer. And if he can just start making the right calls at the right moments, I mean, this Talia could be big in this game for sure.
Yeah. It feels like Yehu's got his own game plan, and it's working out somehow. Was able to bait Closer into that fight and overextension. And, yeah, whatever it takes. Not sure how he managed it. But, yeah, he's quite fed. The rest of his team behind, but not by too much. And I feel like for DRX, next look has to be at this Dragon. We got Otacon up available as well. So you have to, first of all, respect the Kalista and Bro's ability to start up objectives, but also you have to get position on them before. Unlike every single other objective we've seen so far in this game, they have to be ready to take these, and Yehu has to be there too.
Oh, 100%. And I think, considering Weaver's Wall's up, teleport's up, you know, you have the tools. And also, Morgan isn't deep in the side lane against a Scion that doesn't have TP or anything like that. Like, you have the means to actually fight this straight up, although Rich may be going a little bit too deep here.
We do have the bottom lane coming on up, so Morgan in a bit of trouble, but Krako is Xinjiao, and they just turn on a Lazy Field. That is going to be the kill. No knock up here for Andil, and Lazy Field gets one, Rich gets the other. The rotation quicker for DRX.
There's just no vision for Bro really on this side of the map, so they thought it's a winning play, but they're really arguably counter-ganked here, essentially, as Lazy Field can engage from so far away with his ultimate, and that's all it takes. Killer Instinct in, and they're just too slow on the play, and there's no response, there's no Closer TP. So if you look at the minimap now, you know, what Krako didn't know at the time is everybody's coming up. This is why Rich is making this play. They baited it, and then Krako's like, I can kill this Kai'Sa, no problem. But unfortunately, there's just not enough damage here, and everybody on DRX shows up. In live, Otacon taken, it looks like, or at least started, by DRX. Because of that pick there topside, Yehu can just zone with his wall. I think this one's just gone.
Yep. It's crazy to see, you know, a couple kills in top lane manage to make its way all the way down to the Otacon, but okay, not even going to smite because you don't have to. Can save it for the Drake. They're going to try to extend to the Drake. This is on vision, though. Can be a bit risky. And now that they started, immediately Bro does come on over. But now Bro's going to start it. Now DRX have the onus on them to kind of stick around.
Yeah, remember that Weaver's Wall still up here for Yehu. Clears that wave. Closer trying to deny his flank, though. Really nice positioning here on the Azir. Here he comes and says no.
I mean, okay, 2 walls, which one is better? Big knockups though from the Nico and the Scion, just insane stuff as in his bull underneath the Dragon, but that's not where he wanted to be. Both AD carries are down, but his 4v5 here, Yehu a bit out of mana though. They're trying to take down Closer, and 1 knockup will get it done. Very close actually. If he lives there, maybe he has enough. As Yehu flashes away, but he will go down. And no bailout comes through here.
I think we're going to coin
Palu.
A new phrase here, Valdez, as Palu goes down. That's Rise Group, baby!
Oh, God.
Oh,
it's only a matter of time.
It's only a matter of time, right? And it's happening before Rise Group is even fully unlocked, before we're even split, because these 2 teams are playing against potentially some Legend groups later on. As I'm kind of with you in that the Emperor's Divide here doesn't necessarily need to be deployed here, and then Closer sticks around trying to deny Yehu's entry so long that he's just not doing any damage, like at all. Yes, they get the turn here onto Lazyfield, and it's good play from Croco to take him out there, but now Closer doesn't have ult, and this fight is so incredibly split. He tries to go in onto Yehu, which is not the first time we've seen this, and then Yehu just outplays him. Yehu is the most fed member on the side of DRX, so denying his entry is a good idea in theory, but in practice, I think it just took Closer out of the fight as well, and then Yehu was able to get so much more done anyways. So Closer looking for the outplay there, both in the denial of the entry, but then also on the attempt to assassinate him, and just gets taken out because it's not a 1v1, and he's not ahead, by the way. Closer is now 2,000 gold behind. The Yehu, who has a arm guard in his inventory as well with the extra money. So DRX really fighting their way back into a very strong lead at this point, securing the Dragon. And bro, I like the idea, but the execution was a little bit much.
Yeah, not the first time we said that either. Does kind of give you Rise Group vibes when you're saying that, because you know, you think got the right thing, but sometimes you just don't press your buttons in the right way. Bull, after his early start, is now down 1,000 gold. Kalista not able to get very much value in that last fight. That is the clone.
Yeah. It doesn't say clone above her head to them.
Yeah.
Just to us. And
well, I don't think he would be backing in the lane there, but, you know, maybe. You never know.
I mean, if you can burst that clone down, a little bit of extra gold. Every little bit helps when you are 3,000 gold down. So the game state here not looking great with Yorick. It says on the middle of the screen that he's up 450 gold, but I do see a 2-level gap with Otacon, and Rich is just not interested in backing down. He's like, yeah, nice side laning Yorick. Side lane Scion is here with 3 grubs. And he's ulting in.
Yeah, he's ganking. And they're up against a wall and a Scion. And the wall's not going to do too much. They're trying to engage here onto Rich, who I don't think that's the target you want, guys. Croco in a lot of trouble, is going to get bailed out and just die. Morgan is also here. I didn't even notice. He's already dead. And, yeah, just going to ult on top of him. Might as well. Free kill here for Lazyfield. And this is giving me, I don't know, Wolf. I think I'm kind of feeling it, you know. Boro had this early lead, and I think a lot of people got pretty complacent. We're not seeing enough Brotac.
Yeah, I think people are not
That is the issue. How could this happen this quickly?
They thought it was a big enough gold lead. They're like, no, I'm exempt. No, you're not. You're never exempt. Never in the Rise Group battle. Not gonna happen. DRX gonna take Baron off of this. Closer TPs to shove a wave, and I guess he got Rich's TP, but he won't get the turret. And DRX are in prime position to close this one out. I mean, not off this Baron push necessarily, but it should be enough momentum here to get them the Dragon, which is sole point. And like in moments like this, it's really just the collapse from the side laners that are winning that makes all the difference. Sure, the Weaver's Wall isn't the greatest, and like, yes, the Rich ultimate isn't massive, it doesn't hit a big prio target, but you're just so far ahead as DRX that you see their attempt to re-engage and you just outplay it. As Bull is trying his best, he's like Marshall posing the Q, but then Lazyfield is like, well, you're not a real champion, you can't fight, and he just gets the kill. It's 2 kills over to DRX, Baron over to DRX. Off of just a side lane collapse. And again, it wasn't even the best one, but it's enough tempo advantage here to really push things into DRX's favor. With the extra money this time, Yehu completes his Zonias. And And they'll have that Void Staff here pretty soon. This Talia is massive. Sure, some shaky decision-making early on, but has really strongly been the carry for this roster mid-game and onwards.
Yeah, he used the money very well. You know, the initial play to give up the dragon would be fine if your entire team wasn't there trying to set up for the dragon, right? Like if you're making the trade and your team's doing stuff elsewhere, that's fine. But yeah, ends up being okay. He's farming, he's winning, he's carrying,
and Bull
he's great.
Is also an item behind now. You know, he was one of the most fed members early on. He had those 3 kills. And he was in prime position to push through the mid game, but the fights were just so broken up, so messy for Bro that now he's 4-3. The gold gap is the largest, technically, in the bottom lane, and he just can't cut through the Scion very well. And it's now going to be a Scion with an extra Mountain Dragon worth of resistances, and Mountain Soul could be on the cards this game, but even just 2 individual elemental Mountain Drakes feels pretty rough when you are the Kalista in this scenario, or the Azir, that's also significantly behind in this game. I mean, both of them can get it done with enough time, but, you know, if you're hitting a Scion, that means that Yehu and Lazy Feel are otherwise just winning the fight. As we have a bit of a group up here to maybe try to punish Closer. Don't think it's going to happen. Oh!
Stopped his back.
Small victory.
Yep. It made us make an audible sound.
Well, it should be, you know, either a fight here, at least they can force on this inner, or just the inner itself, as they are really well grouped here, and Rich is pushing mid. Love the aggressive setup here for DRX.
Yeah, it's going to wall them off. Kind of a safe wall. Not sure if necessary, but it's going to 100% get them this turret. So they get that inner. Only 10 seconds left, so it's just going to wait on the 4,000 gold Baron power play, or it was until Morgan got this turret.
Bounty, keeping him ahead in the top lane matchup, 200 gold up.
Better than being behind, I guess.
He's going to tell his teammates, check the gold diff post-game screen. It wasn't my fault. I don't know if it was any individual player's fault what happened in this game, but it was certainly a lot of greed and aggressive calls in team fights that cost them this one, I would say.
Yeah, that one fight around the dragon, like, I just want to erase that one. Pretend it didn't happen.
Well,
I don't even feel like Morgan's playing so badly. He's just like in the situation down now 3 levels to a Scion as Yorick. It's like, how did this happen?
Yeah, well, I think we all want to erase that fight from our minds, but especially Bro fans do. D-Gun's going to have to queue it up, though, on space a little bit later. I'm pretty sure they're going to be breaking that one down.
Highlight 2. Oh, boy.
It was such a good start for Bro in the fight, you know? But the ending was a little bit less pleasant. And I think you indexed into a lot here with this draft, too. Like, you had the Azir for Closer so that Bull can play his Kalista. That pairing is so strong. And Bull had the laning phase he was looking for. He had the early 3 kills. I mean, everything goes right for Bro, and they still mess it up. You know, it starts to make you feel like, wow, what's draft for Game 2 going to look like? You know, Morgan's already used his Yorick. And, you know, when Bro get the Bro-mentum, things feel great. But when they're backs against the wall here, a little bit concerning. Morgan has done the most damage in the game to a Scion.
Yeah, I mean,
that he's losing.
That always happens. The Scion Ridge is going to have high damage, too, because they're just hitting each other over and over again. It's kind of sad, honestly. It's needless violence, you know, like, it doesn't mean anything.
But look, he's still 5 gold up. He's top damage. If this is a solo, if it's a solo queue game, he could say top gap. My jungle, mid, bot, and support were trolling.
Yeah.
It was only me. Yes, I was 2 levels down, but I did more damage while I lost that side lane into the Scion, and I beefed my numbers up. But Morgan's not a solo queue player, and he is going to be feeling very sad about things right now. But if it was solo queue, you know, that's what he'd say.
I do feel like the Scion has also had a bigger impact on this game.
100%. He had an impact. Morgan, unfortunately, so far has not.
Yeah, it just feels like, you know, that's kind of the way it goes in this matchup unless the Yorick gets ahead and can really pressure the side lane. But. And
it's also, I think, you know, one of the games, sometimes Otacon we're like, whatever. Feats of strength, sometimes we're like, whatever. But this game, yeah, Bro got feats of strength. Wasn't that impactful because they didn't, you know, end up winning enough fights to get tier 3 boots on anyone other than their AD carry, right? And Bull is still an item down, so it doesn't really matter. and then the Otacon buff comes through and you're like, wait, Yorick is 2 levels down? It's actually extremely significant in this case. He can't side lane. He's supposed to be able to do that. So the draft, which is already, you know, at that time, like, what, 4,000 gold behind, is just falling apart. And now DRX are happily just going to start up this Baron. Closer does have TP, but good luck.
Yeah, I mean, this vision is denied for the moment. Krako might just have to send it in. Let's see. Nope, not going to go for it. And it did go down very fast.
The Weaver's Wall was just like kind of towards Bro. And he's like, yep, that's good enough. I've done my job here.
Stuck it into the heart of Bro. I do have a dragon. Very important. Can't give over Mountain Soul to DRX or it's 100% GG. Especially with the Kalista on your team. And still no Void Staff here for Closer, who's still behind and just trying to make any kind of item. So DRX is going to force their way into this one, as they know the importance of this objective as well. We are seismic shoving the Maiden. As Morgan's here because, well, this is, again, just one of those team fights where you kind of have to be here. Can't be side laning and give away the Mountain Soul. It's not going to work out very well. As follow flash, escape flash from Closer. Now, if Rich is standing here alone, maybe Closer eventually kills him.
Yeah, in 10 years, we'll still be watching it, but...
Still no Void Staff.
Redemption.
Nice engage here from the side of Andel. Is going to get into the corner, but we do have a safe Azir who's doing a decent amount of damage. Sponge trying to take down Closer, but he gets bailed out as well. The tops of the fight is going all the way of DRX, and eventually Closer goes down, and DRX say, oh, we didn't want that dragon anyway. We'll just get a quad kill for LazyField.
LazyField before the game, looking like he was feeling the pressure, playing this matchup. Didn't go well for him at level 1, but he gets the last laugh in the end, assassinates Bull in the final team fight, and DRX will walk down mid to end the game. Big comeback in this one after what was a rocky mid-game here for Bro. Bro had, I feel like, all the cards in this one, but they certainly did not utilize them to their full potential, and Rich is just going to tank turrets as the Nexus explodes, and DRX take game 1 here. Yehu feeling himself. You know, not the greatest Weaver Walls we've ever seen. You know, I'm sure Wadid was probably raising his eyebrows at least one of them, at least maybe 3 of them. But at the end of the day, he was the most fed member. He did a lot of consistent damage in team fights, and if I had a POG, it would be his for sure in game 1.
Yep, no POGs. Still opportunities to lose the right to win POM for Yehu, if that's the thing to look forward to. There he is.
They're looking for the palm, and maybe if he plays well in just one more game, he can get it.
Good, is what it says on the right. Now for the palm. Yeah, that felt very Rise. I'm not sure about that game, Wolf. I don't know how to feel about it. Bro, it just looked like it was going to be unlosable for them, and then eventually the Kalista didn't have an impact. Closer fell very far behind. Morgan didn't have any pressure, and it was just over.
Yeah, it certainly looked good until it didn't, and that one mid-game fight was everything. It just goes to show that even though Bro played so much better, was so much more decisive around those early objectives, one mess up, one error, and you could lose to anyone, even with a draft that's so suited for your players.
Yeah, well, it's 1-0 for DRX. We're going to take a break and have the space. We'll be right back.
나 일단 풀고 박는다 이거. 아지르 높을. 가면 게 시간 안 나. 야 내가 가볼게. 아지르 높을 애들 아지르 높을. 아지르 그냥 물어줘. 야야 물어줄게 얘들아 천천히 와. 천천히 와. 아지르 봐줘. 아지르 높을. 나 죽었고. 우리 위에 싸우는 중. 여기 아지르 탈피. 싸워. 이겼어. 미드 가야 돼. 미드 가자. 됐나? 끝나.
You locked Teemo, and now you have to play Teemo top, where you're like, oh, I didn't want to play this. I didn't want to do this. So I haven't gotten any official confirmation, so let you guys know as soon as we know. But based on his reaction, I'm gonna take a leap of faith and say we're getting a Rek'Sai.
Yeah.
And this is gonna get really interesting because Rek'Sai was viable top back in that season.
Yeah.
I think it was 2023 summer where that was actually the case. As we'll find out right here.
All right, lock it in, Rich. It's not Rek'Sai. Okay, well, it's Trundle instead and Jace.
Okay, well, he is going to be playing the Jace that I think we all were leaning towards was going to be likely here in this draft. And with the Trundle, it weakens the Ornn pick for Morgan if you wanted to go for that into this Victor scaling composition. So we'll see what ends up transpiring here as the Rumble, I mean, the consideration, was banned in game 1. Just going to make it through. So a lot of scaling AP damage here. And Bull is going to get his Varus. They're going to prioritize it this time before the second phase where it was banned in game 1. And for Yehu, see what the counter pick is going to be, because if he has something special in mind, they don't have to necessarily lock it here, and they could just look for an 80 carry pick.
Yeah, in that case, maybe you see something like an MF or something that can deal with the Varus in the lane.
The Sylas I mentioned is going to be his go-to, though.
That is what Zeka played into Faker's Sylas, or Faker's Victor yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, he generated massive leads, too. I mean, it was a monster performance out of Zeka. I don't know if we can necessarily expect the same out of Yehu, but I would love to see it, as this matchup can be quite tricky early. And Faker's Flash was taken away by Zeka in the early levels. Some really nice trading, aggressive plays. See what happens in the second phase here now, because we have mid locked up, top locked up, and 80 carry versus jungle here. So you can ban jungles as DRX, like the Nocturne, and as Bro, you're going to ban that safe Alistar, like everyone does on blue side in that first spot. But maybe we'll see an 80 carry ban in the final spot, like the MF you mentioned, or potentially even just a Rel ban, since Alistar's gone.
Andil loves Rel too. I think it's a good shout. You know, you could see the Rel picked first in that case. If it's not banned, because then you can just pick MF. It's not like they're going to play Varus MF bot lane.
No, not going to happen.
Not in this meta.
I think those are the big considerations, MF or the Rel. Senna, actually kind of solid ban, I think, given the Sylas that they have. I actually think that's a pretty good ban.
Yeah.
Don't talk about the hovers. That's what I was told in week 1 of LCK in 2021. And so we'll just wait and see what he does next. Because both the MF and the Rel are available, and it's looking like an Ezreal. This one has been, for me, one of the weirdest things that's happened this year is that people have just been, with the lack of lethality Varus we're seeing, you're a little bit happier to play this into Varus, but still feels like a tough one to play out. But people have been so ready to snap lock it every time into the Varus, so... Okay, Zed for Krako.
I mean, they needed 80 damage. He didn't want to play something kind of, you know, that gets countered by the Trundle, which is a lot of things.
That's honestly, I think, the main reason why he picks this, because the Trundle is just so obnoxious. If you're playing, if he tries to play Sejuani here, he's literally doing his team a disservice, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think he wanted to play Lee Sin into this draft. I mean, there is some level of backline access you could try to get,
Paperman?
Paperman, I'm not into it. I think you need something with a little bit more damage.
He is made of paper.
But this means that in terms of engage here for Bro, you have Rel, which is decent, but otherwise, the gravity field and Varus ult or harpoons, there's not a lot of CC here. There's not a lot of ways to lock down this Ezreal. So Lazyfield has a ton of agency in this draft. Now, Zed may just be able to blow him up, but in pro play that usually doesn't happen. It's really hard to find an 80 carry alone, an 80 carry who's isolated. And so in terms of blowing that carry up, it's going to be a challenge. Trying to kill Sylas with Zed is pretty tough too. So Krocko probably putting in the reps, and solo queue feels comfortable with this one. But I am not super sold on it. I think it's good into the Trundle, but otherwise the draft feels very risky.
Who drew it better? I feel like left was more realistic, but right was...
I thought left was like the meme where SpongeBob, it's like the weak SpongeBob versus like the ripped SpongeBob. But the one on the right was just normal SpongeBob. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe right slowly edges it out a little bit. Either way, guys, we got Trundle, we got Zed in this game number 2. Let's hop onto the rift right now.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다. 미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
All right. Well, we're getting into this one.
So we didn't get the Rek'Sai, but we got Zed. So I kind of feel like we're doing okay. Weirdly enough, we live in a world where Zed is more meta than Rek'Sai. Significantly more meta. Rek'Sai hasn't played the whole season. Was picked once, but didn't see play.
Yeah. Again, I don't think Rek'Sai would have been so bad.
미니언들이
I think Zed is... I don't know.
I kind of
it got some buffs.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Rek'Sai, if they picked a different 80 carry, kind of sick with their comp, to be honest. Like the Sylas, you know, they gank the Rumble. You know, I mean, honestly, even with Ezreal, it's okay. But in LCK, it's not on the tier list. Okay, it's not.
It doesn't
common.
exist.
Everyone thought Fearless was going to fix the LCK, and we'd see picks like Zed. Oh, wait, we're seeing Zed. Let's, you know.
Yeah. And Trundle, you know.
Trundle is meta now, Valdez.
Yeah, but he wasn't the first time he was picked. So teams are like, huh, what are we going to do in this situation? There's not a lot of meta picks available because of Fearless. I guess we have to try Trundle.
Comet Varus, by the way. Now, Bull, we've talked about this a lot, mostly on the Challengers broadcast when we used to do those officially and then co-stream, but known for on-hit Varus, even when we didn't like that he was playing on-hit Varus. But now he's playing Lethality in a game where, considering the lack of really strong frontline here, I'm kind of okay with it, especially when you consider you have a lot of other burst damage with the Zed, and you also have a closer for a little bit more consistent finisher. And it also works really well with Equalizer. You hit that Lethality poke, and then Morgan just drops an R button, and either somebody dies or they're out of the fight, either way. And it's also great for lane into the Ezreal. As we mentioned before, Ezreal getting a little bit more popular into the Varus because Lethal Temple was on the rise, so you're not taking Comet. Does have Comet now. Struggling to get the last hits, though. Aftershock.
So Bull missed the first one. That was okay, but then Palu tried to help, but yeah, Aftershock got the kill on the minions. So he just missed 2 melee minions casually under the turret. Kind of unfortunate. We do have a pretty early back here from Lazyfield.
Yeah.
Just early tier pickup from the Ezreal.
Wants to get that as soon as possible, but maintain the Doran's Blade, so no tier starts. Tier start's not really viable, especially in this matchup. They're not going to be doing that. He gets the tier as soon as he can. It'll help him out a lot later on. He's not going to get punished for this back. Does not seem. We do see, you know, here in this top lane, Rich is controlling it early, which usually is the case with the Jace into Rumble. And a fast back here as well for Krocko, who has a 2 longsword advantage, but he's still playing against a Trundle.
Yeah, about that. We have some trading in mid as well. Saw Yehu go in. Sponge eating a ton of shuriken damage, and he's sticking around. He is going to smite it down, but the red buff is ticking on the Sponge. Follow-up with the flash, and it's so easy! Sponge should have seen that coming.
Hold on.
Okay, they're going to just kill him then. Yeah, Yehu able to get over. Closer not.
That was really quite close, though, to be honest. Like, if Yehu just dies there, then it's 2 kills for the Zed, but this feels like an intentional choice, right? Where he goes over for the fast back, gets 2 longswords, and he's like, I think I can duel him if he doesn't back here. Because otherwise, into the Trundle, you're probably not going to win that fight in any world, right? But you can see here, Sponge really struggling, does commit to the smite, so at least gets the scuttle, but so much damage here on the initial combo. Croco just waits it out here, waits for his cooldowns. And Sponge is just like, well, tried to pillar, I get the smite, and I need to be bailed out by my Sylas. Croco flashes here to secure the kill and also uses his shadow critically. And so Yehu knows he doesn't have flash and knows he can just go in here for the stun.
Closer was there first.
Yeah,
and he went back to the wave because I think they didn't know Rich was coming.
Yeah, I think Closer just didn't, like you said, think that the Jace was going to show up there. But also, like, you might as well go over and look for the fight. Might even be able to force even a flash out of somebody. Either way, cool idea, cool start for Croco. The ending, not as great. It's kind of been the bro motto, the bro memento today.
Yeah, the Brado.
The Brado.
The CSing under turret is an issue. He is falling behind pretty significantly early on here.
This Israel matchup doesn't feel great.
Yeah, they're getting bullied. See that one little Krug jump over the wall to the left? He had dreams, and then unfortunately he got pulled back in by the aggro.
Yeah.
But he was going places for a little bit.
Sometimes Krugs need to get out of their boundaries.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can learn things from that mini Krug.
Think outside the box.
Yeah.
Or jump outside of it.
Exactly.
Especially when you're feeling a little bit, constrained in your life.
He saw a Zed and he was like, wow, that's rare. Maybe it's my chance to do something. No.
You're just a mini Krug. Get back to the camp. Like, let's be real. Bull having to cleanse here. And Ondil is Leona. Leona definitely getting a lot of value. Very good with the Ezreal. And every time Palu tries to do anything, it's like, well, I just neutralize you.
In this matchup, too, like if Ezekiel hits everything and Leona's constantly trading aftershocks and looking for those aggressive plays, like, you can win, especially when you have the wave pushing through. Bull is trying to manage CS as well. Paulo does have this control ward here, but unfortunately Croco is very far away. I don't think this is going to be possible to contest. They can stop Yehu from getting over, but what does that really mean?
I mean, it looks like he wants to get in, but the pillar should zone him away. They want to try to turn onto Yehu, who's just going to go back in. He has Magnet Storm, and now Paulo in a lot of trouble. And the stun! The stun, it saved him!
That is pretty significant. If he ends up going down there, I might be starting to draft the obituary here for this early game for Bro, but does end up living. Good stun there, just barely will save his life. But man, contesting that I think was optimistic. Good pillar from Sponge to make sure there's no 50-50 opportunity. They both were flashless, of course. But the woes continue here as Rich has a massive lead. Lazyfield, significant lead generated here in this bottom lane. How many of these do we hit? One? Oh, just the one. I don't think you could have gotten both in that scenario.
Yeah.
But still, every -1 counts.
Morgan is trying to bait something here. Equalizer coming down. No flash for Rich, who is just going to get Zedded here in just a little bit. Burnt down by Morgan, and Croco didn't even have to ult. Yeah, that mobility of the Zed just coming back to bite Rich there.
Yeah, really hurting him quite substantially. As unfortunately, there's not much outplay you can do there as Rich without flash. And even though Zed doesn't have CC to gank, when you're that far up the lane, he does a lot of damage, and that will put you in the death chamber of CC, where you can't move or act. It's actually the best form of CC. You can pull it off. Like you said, didn't have to ult, and so now potentially could have looked for a contest here on these grubs, but not enough control over the river, and now Closer.
I'm trying to get down on a Closer, but Paulo is here. Stolen Chaos Storm doesn't do all too much. Just zones them away.
We've talked about how Trundle loves to do grubs, but I don't think that was really the reason why he was able to get all three. He's just there first, and there wasn't enough control over the river. Unfortunately, Paulo was coming up from the bottom side, and they just were not able to even show up. So DRX will get the last two there, 2-1. And it's a relatively even game. Dragon is going to feel really nice now with Mountain and Chemtech as our first two elemental drakes. Could get really interesting here, what we do end up seeing. Infernal Soul would feel amazing for both compositions, same as Hextech Soul. So if DRX are able to get this next Dragon, feeling really good about the advantage they picked up early on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, we had a couple of Hextechs yesterday, so maybe we can continue with the luck. And we'll see about that. not too much happening at this moment, so I got a little update from G-Sun about the rule book.
Yes.
That was updated on March 28th. As might have to hold that thought as Morgan's going in here, but he's getting baited actually as the Trundle is here. Flash available for Morgan, but he just elects to die instead. So Rich, nice job baiting him out there. Good timing from Sponge to be up in the top side.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. So tell me about the rulebook.
Yeah, so if the player notifies the ref immediately that they basically chose the wrong thing for any reason at all, you can get a redo. You just get a penalty.
What is the penalty?
The penalty, I think it's just like the basic LCK penalty, where if you get like too many, you get like a warning, and then
so it's a warning.
You're gonna eventually like lose.
Yeah, penalties stack up into losing bans and stuff like that. Okay.
Losing bans, losing points, yeah. So basically, it was obvious he didn't want to play Rek'Sai, so as long as he immediately puts his hand up and he's like, I didn't mean to pick that.
To be honest,
it's fine.
As somebody
You
who
get a redo.
grew up in the old Kespa era of you type GG wrong, it's a penalty, like, I think it's a pretty progressive rule change. Like, I actually,
So true.
like, my instant reaction from living through the Brood War and StarCraft 2 era of those times that you and I also lived through, where players like Innovation would be given a warning and or would lose literally a point in the standings for typing GG in Korean instead of in English.
Yep.
I'm pretty happy to see like we're moving towards. He obviously didn't want to play Rek'Sai. He's not griefing the system.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I like that. Paulo does not have ult.
Yeah, he's gonna get ulted himself, actually. Kroko goes in and does a little bit of damage to Sponge. Now we got chains flying in from off screen, but they're not gonna really do anything. Lazyfield does have to flash. Oh, very close to taking him down, actually. But still, Lazyfield gets
Hold
away.
on. Wait, Bull? Okay, they see him. Like, if Lazyfield just backed there after seeing the Varus on the ward and died, I would have been
they wanted
very
to get
upset.
Bull if Bull like moved into the river.
Yeah, because Ando also has flash, so he could have like flash stunned him.
Bull has cleanse and like, oh, that could have been real bad.
Yeah,
I'm kind of glad nothing happened.
Yeah, no, I see this. Like, they thought about it for a second, and then they made the right choice, so that's good. Ooh, it's all coming up DRX in this one, though. It really, really is. Unfortunately, Paulo is the only real form of engage we've talked about, and he didn't have ult, so he was the one who was engaged upon, and he did not make it. Sad to report. He did not survive.
Yeah. Pretty unfortunate for him. The Grubs. I don't even remember the Grubs being taken.
No, I do, because Bro got the first one, and then Toronto got the last two, remember? And there was no contest.
Yeah, that's just the state of the Grubs nowadays. It's like they went down for some, yeah. Anyway, we're looking for this dragon. We can't take Drake. And Sponge is getting to work on this, but that ult's not going to do all too much, kind of interrupted by the pillar. And now the TP coming in, DRX are just abandoning ship. So they say, we didn't even need this one. Who's going in? Gotta be careful, just aggressive trade. He's not overcommitting. But yeah, they already have one Drake, so they say it's fine. We'll get your TP, and we'll get Rich some money.
Infernal Soul as well.
You called it.
So denying a really impactful dragon. Ooh,
That happened.
Oh, it's Pan over here.
Kroko? Okay, he's just gonna ult on in. And maybe a turn here on a Sponge, but he's quite tanky here on the Trundle with that Subjugate. And yeah, he's just unkillable at this point in the game. Even the Equalizer comes down, and it's not quite enough. Finally, Bull is able to get some damage in. Lazyfield coming on over as well. Ondel is dead. They're gonna leave him with the fishes. And Yehu is playing Silas.
Outplay there with the dash. You call it a miss, you can call it a dodge. I call this one a dodge.
It was.
And I mean, I feel like forcing that kind of brawl right there, given your engage is limited, into this Trundle is just not the right call. Especially like, Closer, you are a Victor with I think he had one stack of Rod of Ages. So he just doesn't really hurt people. As you can see, he's trying to hurt people, and they will not be hurt. The Equalizer from Morgan is a lot more relevant. But yeah, this is just not the kind of fight you want to be taken here at this point in time. Unfortunately, that dodge there from Yehu means Bull does not secure that exit kill. Ends up being a trade, relatively even trade, but I am concerned about what it means that Bro thought that was the fight to take.
Yeah, especially because it feels like Rich is getting a lot of alone time up on the top side of the map.
Exactly.
He got a second plate. And so he's ahead about, you know, a kill, a first blood, 400 gold. and he has 2 kills already. Also, Yehu going for the Rod of Ages, and he is going to be quite fed in this game. 2-0 and 2.
Yeah, 1 stack behind closer, but that often ends up being a boon, depending on the timing of when you end up getting that level up. I'm worried about Rich being big in this game, because he got that extra amount of side laning done there, and with lack of engage, like, how do you catch the Jace Ezreal in this game? They're going to be set at angles where both of them can poke consistently.
Yeah.
He's not going to be poking right now, he's going to melee for him.
Yeah, Andel's going to Hex Flash this wall, and Morgan is going to flash away, but I don't know. Do they have the damage to take down the Rumble? They do, barely, but Andel is going to go down. TP does come in, so it's still a win for DRX, but a little bit scary there.
Yeah, also the Leona getting the kill versus the Rumble getting the kills. Pretty big trade up, as Yehu's going to get some alone time with this turret. Nothing more should transpire there on the top side, but I think that play, the idea of it was fine, but they were a little bit slow on it, and as a result, it ends up being Morgan getting a kill and Andil getting a kill. Rich will get some shared gold, of course, out of it. And Bro, after that trade up, are going to go ahead and take this Rift Herald. It's going to be a Herald for a turret. That's feats of strength, though, to DRX, as they were able to get the turret first.
Yeah. It feels like little trades everywhere, either cross-map or otherwise, but DRX is barely getting the edge every time.
Yeah.
They're little. They're very small ones, but we had like a, what was it, like 200 gold lead, 300 gold lead. Now it's above 1,000. And I mean, you're getting the money on the Silas in the bot lane, so that's good. Nice trade up after Leona got the kill in the last trade.
And I'm watching an Ezreal make a Varus, Lethality Varus Ghostblade in the mid lane, and that's not a good sign either.
Yeah.
As LazyField found a nice angle there. And, you know, it wasn't kill pressure necessarily, but he's pushed the Varus out of lane, going to crash this wave in. They just have constant control. I think I was leading into, before we had that gank and that fight in the top side, it's just the carries here for DRX, you know, 2 of them are just impossible to get to, it feels like. And if the Rel has to go all the way deep to look for that engage, they just collapse on her and kill her. And this has already happened, right? Paulo was caught once before he had his ultimate, but I think for Bro, you really just need to scale. Like, you really need to avoid any more disaster. If you get even one more Drake here without losing a fight, you know, that's like, okay, best case scenario. All right, we're getting stronger with this Victor. You have to play through the Victor, the Rumble, and the Varus. And you're going to have to be winning poke wars on objectives. The problem is they have one more poke champion than you. And they also have engage, and they can also brawl. So this feels like the draft issues here for Bro are going to get worse and worse if they lose really just one more team fight. I just don't know if they can recover from that.
Doesn't feel good that one of the main poke champions for Bro is Bull, who he's behind on CS, but he's not comfortable in the lane, and he got the 1 kill, but that's the only reason why he's on parity right now. So definitely will have some poke wars in this game, but who's going to have the better poke? And team fighting, as you were talking about. We do have this Rift Herald dropped here in mid. I feel like this might be able to get this mid turret. Not on the crash, but just a little bit more.
Yeah, with this next wave, they should be able to get it. Rich is looking for a flank. He's going to miss that shock blast. That should just be the turret here. And they don't have to hard force. This is a big win for Bro. You can now kind of try to force their way into this choke point and get that control. Yehu could look to TP in. And I think this is a really important dragon fight for DRX. If they give this over to Bro, it gives them so much critical time and damage and scaling to this Victor composition. As it looks like they're just going to trade turret for Bro. Like, Bro? They are going to get the dragon, right?
Eventually.
Like, now Rich could maybe steal this. Like, okay, he won't, but that was a little bit weird.
Yeah, it's like they're scrambling to try to get back on the map, but because of that, they just do it slower. Yeah, so they get the dragon. They buy themselves some extra time. Any Infernal Drake is going to feel good. As, meanwhile, just backing in the bush, almost getting caught. A little collapse here on a Croco, who doesn't have his cooldowns just yet, but he will get them back fast enough to get to safety.
Yeah, this is a big win for Bro. Buys them a ton of time, gives them that extra damage for this Victor, but at the same time, it's not. I feel like I'm not super happy with how it happened, you know? Like, they had so much control, and they gave up a turret. They did it super slow. Now Rich has an insane amount of power here in this bottom lane with Sponge. you know, a lot of time was wasted for Croco. They're actually just going to get this in there. I think this is a great choice. At least get the equalizer. So much damage done, and I think they still get it, man. Equalizer be damned.
They killed it so quickly. What is Stegon doing? He's fidgeting with his shoe.
He's not even wearing bro colors. He thinks it's Orange Day. He's wearing the
Those look like
Hololive.
DRX colors, actually.
Yeah. Is he knitting? He's knitting a shoe.
He's saying 2-0 or something.
No,
we
I think
haven't
he's saying-
engaged here.
Okay, hold on. We'll talk about it later. Is Sponge?
I think he's okay. He just subjugated the Rel, rather. So, yeah.
You know, the old Breon Blade was orange jersey, I think, right? And like a reddish logo.
Yeah, they have like orange in their colors.
Yeah. Like the original Breon logo, I think, was like reddish orange.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
It's like their off color. It's like their second jersey.
I can't really explain the knitting of the shoe, but
We still don't know what he's doing there. And why his shoe is DRX colored.
I guess Bro are on the blue side, and the shoe is a little blue, so
So that's why Bro lost game 1.
yeah.
They weren't on the blue side.
Well, that whole turret went down in the bottom lane with the pressure that we talked about that was unlocked after kind of delayed Drake take, Croco getting delayed, then trying to go clear his top side of the jungle, and then they just group and kill a turret, just like that. So DRX still pushing a 2,000 gold lead now.
Yeah, who's like soft freezing this wave? And that's going to get the cleanse out. Good job by Bull in that trade.
That's the kind of stuff you want to be seeing in this mid lane that we haven't seen too much of just yet in this matchup. The cannon, nice. Yeah.
Closer is very far ahead with his stack of the Rod of Ages.
Yahoo is Silas, so I'm not sure if he cares. Like, the rest of the team is coming down, and Bro are very aware of this, so they wanted to get something done themselves, but not even gonna get half this turret. Yahoo's, just like you said, holding this wave here and just casually sucking up minions. And 2-item spike for Jace hit. 2 items for the Ezreal, not quite there yet, but should be pretty soon. And with, you know, Sponge in the area here, Yahoo can kind of just do whatever he wants. Otacon's on the bottom side of the map, so controlling that side lane, controlling mid-prio, very important. This Bull is really pushing up because he's got Palu nearby.
He's in the Bull spot.
He's grabbing the Bull by the horns.
He's
by the
bulldozing the wave
There you go.
right now.
Sponge
Nice.
is coming over. Croco, I don't know.
We don't know what Croco's doing.
He doesn't have Shadow anymore, but it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
But like, the more time that Bro kind of spend here and lose control over this bottom side of the map, the better it is for DRX for this next Dragon fight and where Otacon is. Like,
Yep.
that's actually significant. Like, that little stall out there,
Started
DRX are just like, well, I mean, it's an Otacon angle, by the way. And Rich does not have teleport, but he can just kind of cruise over because they know everyone's just backing there. They know Croco's not here. He is going to catch the mid wave instead, though.
Bro?
And like he's like, I guess they're not coming. Rich is like, well, I'm not going either. And that's like, it's just like one little jungle interaction like that when you have Otacon on the side of the map where you have that side lane pressure is like, if you lose control for just a moment, boom, Otacon, by the way. So not feeling great, and that's still where they are trying to now group up here to punish Yehu.
Well, that was unfortunate. Sponge is, he's going to subjugate, and he gets a shield. Maybe he lives. No. Full 1 ability. Oh, Palu just pops like a balloon as in goes Croco on a lazy field. Not a lot of peel for him. He doesn't have flash. No arcane shift. And that's what that Zed is there for. Andel just on the run. Looks like Rich also going to go down in mid as now we got a Zed ult coming in from Yehu as he's going to get a kill. Hops back, but not a lot of ways to get out of here. Waiting for his cooldowns. Does get over, immediately stunned, and yeah, just immediatally dies.
That's
Bro
massive.
is going to get that shutdown. What is this angle?
Orange Stegon. He's loving it. And I mean, I was looking at the whole situation right before that being like, man, full momentum against them. But when you watch this angle here, like, Bro don't have great engage. But when they have just one engage tool, this is a glass cannon composition that does insane damage. Even the Trundle alone here in this situation can't actually win the fight. Then they go back in, sure, you get the kill on the Rel, but now you've engaged for Bro because you've walked too far forward, and Morgan has a massive equalizer here. And then the end of this fight, the fact that Yehu actually gets stunned and no one has to flash to follow is huge. Really cool play here to take Croco out of the fight with his own Zed ultimate, but he ends up dying for it. And Bro end up really evening this game back up, as this is a really critical moment. And then Morgan able to get the Harpoon over the wall to take him down. 4 kills for this Rumble that's super fed. Has the Shred as well, and even got an arm guard. So he was behind a lot of this game, still technically behind in gold, but very relevant now.
10 gold behind.
And Bro got this a second Infernal Dragon.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part of all of this. I mean, they do shore up a lot of the gold, but it's kind of close anyway. But now they get even closer, and they get the Drakes. Now they're on Infernal Soul Points. They get a bunch of shutdowns, a bunch of gold exactly where they want it. Into the Varus, into the Rumble. And Croco did a ton of damage in that fight. Didn't pick up any kills, I don't think. Maybe he got 1.
He might have, no, he did. I don't think he did, actually.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate. I feel like his Zed is quite good, but his KDA doesn't make it look that way.
Okay, this is not great for Morgan.
Yeah. But he's just going to flash. The Pillar, definitely one of those abilities, much like the Anivia wall, where it's like, if you get hit by that and you're in the wrong spot, you're flashed. Otherwise...
and if you don't have flash, you're dying.
Yeah.
So clean play there from Sponge. Yes, Yehu has been stunned a few times, but won't be stunned this time. And suddenly we're in this game state where even though Bull missed a lot of abilities and wasn't having the greatest performance in the mid matchup there into Lazy Field, where we got out of lane and he was just farming, the farming matchup, so to speak. He has 3 kills now. He is big, and this comp does a lot of damage, and if it follows in the right place, like, they will kill anyone.
They're very deep, engaging onto a Leona. Can they kill Andal on time is really the question. TP does come in for Morgan, but now we're going to have Bull go down immediately as Bro are in an awkward spot. The Equalizer's okay, and I feel like DRX could have pushed the envelope a little bit more there, but the Equalizer does push them away. Closer getting quite low. Here comes Sponge up the river, blocking the plants. But now the re-engage coming in here.
Yeah, TP coming in as well. Bro.
Yeah, Bro needs to get out now.
I think it might be too late, Valdez. They do not have a turret here.
DRX also playing this very carefully. The engage comes in on a Lazy Field. It will be a ton of damage with the Zed on top of it, as now that's a nice trade. And now Yehu going 1v1 versus Morgan. Tries to re-engage, but misses. He's burning down. It's a kill for Bro, actually. As Sponge still chasing Closer. Finally gets the kill, but he will be traded out as Bro win the fight.
That's Rise Group, baby! Bro, out-mechanicking DRX in this moment. It feels like, really, that's the difference maker is Yehu barely survives there, the 1v1 into Morgan. It all starts off with, like I said, there's so much damage you can even kill a Leona, but it does take some time, and then the teleport does come through here from Rich. So now Bro in this awkward spot where they index so heavily into this, and then they have to make every decision perfectly here. Like you said, there was a moment just there where I feel like DRX could have indexed more, and then the Equalizer hits. And now you have to make the tough call. Like, do you chase here? Do you try to lock down Bro? Yehu says 100% we do. He teleports over here, but Sponge is so low. And look at Morgan as well in this fight, just winning against Yehu, who wants to rejoin the fight as he sees the engage happening topside. Yehu's indecision here really hurts him. He doesn't die, but he's not able to save the fight. Also misses those chains there as Croco and crew win the topside. And Closer here will ultimately be taken out, but not without a price. Big stuns coming through in the fight, the extended fight from the victor. Closer doing a ton of damage, looking for his death cap third, quietly becoming extremely relevant in this game. When you add up all the extra percentages of APs and get the adaptive force from the Mountain Drakes, if he gets Soul, has that, the big death cap, like, he's gonna have so much AP.
Yeah. And Bro are in position to take down this Infernal Soul. If DRX don't have something to say about it. They've cleaned out all the vision. Sponge is trying to push forward here with the team, with Ondo, but TP's already coming in. And now they're trying to go in onto Sponge, who does have his flash, but not going to use it. Just a bit of damage. Edge of Night gone from Bull. Lazyfield's got to be very selective about how he goes in.
Sponge also already putting that filth on the ground a bit early in this one. And, like, Closer has mid-prio here. Yehu is on a flank, technically. Let's see what if he steals the Rel ultimate and looks for a Rel engage, this could actually be huge. Like, that's the angle he's looking for, but Closer is very aware of this. He's looking for him. He's like, I'm not going to allow that.
Yeah. They don't have vision to get into that backline either, so he's going to be flying blind. He's fine where he is, but I don't know about running all the way in here. He doesn't have a splash. Can be difficult. Timing will be crucial. Blue buff picked up for Bro.
This is looking really rough here for DRX if they can't find that Sylas flank. He's still flanking. Edge of Night gone.
And he's spotted immediately on the flank. Ondel now going to be targeted here on his flank as they try to go in on a Morgan, but Ondel's getting so low. Flash on into Rich, who will be taken out by Krako, who does take a lot of damage, though. Palu is going to go down. Lazyfield and Yehu are totally fine. Flash on in from Lazyfield. Going to miss that Q, though. It doesn't matter. He's able to hop on in, and our resident Bro is not very happy with this scenario. This would have been the moment for Bro to close it out.
Yeah, it was a really awkward angle for dealing with the Sylas flank, and Palu moved away, so he couldn't actually quite get the Rail Magnet Storm engage, like the hijack engage he was looking for, but he ended up getting the equalizer as everyone else was engaging onto a Leona. Okay, he's fine.
I don't know. Okay, well.
And that was the moment where Bro, like, they could have gotten the Infernal Soul, so much more damage. And I mentioned the AP, the AD, they're already going to get for the individual Infernal Dragons, but as soon as they go on to the Leona here, Yehu makes the choice to go for the Equalizer, which really does both a ton of damage and also zones Bro. Like, look at where Bull is in this fight. He's not hitting anyone relevant. It's just a really great play from Yehu. And, like, the flank there, the wraparound with the Leona there from Ondel is just, it's chef's kiss, because it puts them in this checkmate situation where oftentimes when there's a flanker, you just go, okay, engage the flanker, and now it's a 5v4, but that's a Leona, you know? And it takes so much time to kill her that it gives Yehu the agency there, and then unfortunately Sponge gets on top of Bull, and he just can't play the game.
It was really cool to see Ondel taxi in and then flash Q Closer, because Closer is really dangerous, as you mentioned before. He just hit his death cap. And Ondel made sure that he wasn't a part of that fight. As now, Ondel taking a bunch of damage, but now they're kind of stuck between the pillar and the wall. Ondel is going to go down, though. The counter engage comes in. The equalizer doesn't do all too much. Lazyfield is able to zone everybody away by himself. DRX, they trade supports, but it definitely feels like they're in control of this one as Lazy takes down the turret.
Game is not over, but it's one clean Baron away from being over, as this is not going to feel great.
Ooh.
Ooh. For Rich, because he didn't stop him. All right, so yeah, that would have been a significant backstop, and they could have even looked to try to catch him and then go for a Baron play, but does not eventuate that same way. As, like, Ondel constantly the target in these skirmishes. And as we've learned many times, as Lahen's taught us, like, sometimes this backfires. This time the Equalizer coming in here for Morgan, trying to save the play, but this ends up being a trade of supports. But with the amount of control that DRX have, like, it's always a trade up for them when you trade supports like that. Because, like, okay, well, now what are you going to do with no jungler, with no CC on your jungler, you know, with no real engage tools? We have a Sylas, we have a Trundle, you know, we can warp the battlefield to our liking, and you can't. And the Sylas, like, can be engaged on its own, but can also steal all of those ultimates that are important there on the side of Bro to turn it into an even better skirmish. This is going to be a battle for Prio for a moment here, as two big prizes, Bro's Soul and also the Baron, are what these teams are going to be looking for. Control Ward in the Baron pit right now for DRX gives them a little bit more flexibility. And as you can see, Bro don't really have deep vision anywhere. They have vision to the left of the Dragon pit. They're going to try to come over here and try to clear up vision themselves on the Baron. It's a Prio fight. That's where we're at here in this game, because these next objectives will decide the game. And DRX have all the momentum right now. Full control over this map. And they're not going to let this vision go without a fight.
Yeah, hold the top river vision. They don't have a crazy amount of Baron damage. It's okay, it's decent, but you know, it's not going to be like bursting it down with a 4-item Kai'Sa or anything like that with Azir in the mid lane. So it doesn't feel like DRX can just rush it down, especially with the game as close as it is. But in terms of control, it's still all DRX. I say that as Rich is hiding on Bush, and he is going to go in on a Krako, but Morgan is down in the bottom lane. As you see, a lot of pings there onto him, but they spot Croc on the bottom side. And they immediately start up the Baron.
Yeah,
This is spotted.
Rich is just like, I'm chilling. You can't stop me from TPing. Bull can, but I mean, he could just come over here and buy time, stall them out.
Yeah, he has
and
flash.
the Baron's just gone.
Yeah, they didn't have the best Baron team in the game, but they had a good enough one. And they're able to burst it down. TP's gone. Bro, you already lost the Baron.
I think that in a lot of ways, and this is going to sound weird, and it's not a slight on Krako, but I think this game is one of those games that showcases, even with a Zed that has 3 items, he's just not that pro viable, in my opinion. Like, remember Canyon played Zed and he won, but we were like, I'm not sure about this pick. Yeah. We've seen it played by players like Pabu in the past, back in MSI, but it's just not been a pick that has really stood out in pro because you just don't have CC. You have a lot of burst damage, but the lack of utility, like Sponge, he's down 300 gold. You know, he's not doing a ton of damage. He won't have the damage numbers that Krako has at the end of the game, but he's just got so much utility. Like, his ultimate's so high value. His pillar is so much zoning. And Krako has spent a lot of this game, like, shadow jumping away from DRX and losing tempo, then losing an objective. And, like,
he's really just, like, he trades his life with the AD carry, and it's usually from behind. It doesn't feel like it's enough.
It just doesn't feel relevant to me. I mean, you and I have had this conversation so many times about, like, if it doesn't have CC, you can't play it in the mid lane. It has to be something that has some form of CC, otherwise the utility just isn't there. And, I mean, look at him go. He's just going to push Bull away, and
CC
that's
is
his turret.
CC is king, for sure.
I just think that's always kind of been the way of modern League of Legends. And there are some champions that can get away with it, like Akali, which is one of the pick that you and I talked about most back then, where I was like, I just don't know if Akali's viable. And it for the most part, is just a niche pick now that, like, Zeka plays occasionally.
And my boy Daystar.
Daystar.
Don't forget.
Daystar was Palm yesterday.
Yeah, he was.
Rats on picking him up early.
I don't know how he managed that, but he did. Thanks to all my voters out there, especially VN Cast.
Might have just been a bit of Valdez vote brigading. Not sure. Krako, he doesn't have CC.
Yeah, he doesn't have his ability to jump to anyone either. He's going to hop back finally, but taking a lot of damage. Now LazyField taking the 1v1. Bull flashing over. LazyField flashes into closer and just dies. That didn't have to happen.
It didn't have to happen, and you could tell he was a little bit flustered there. But you know what? The end result...
That's Rise Group, baby.
Yeah, sure, that's Rise Group, baby. The end result doesn't matter that much, as Krako's got his Axiom arc now, so, you know, at least he can try to trade with the AD carry more often, or at least ult more often in general with that one. As, yeah, this fight is just over the red buff here. And for the side of DRX, they just want to take that away because it's a huge amount of utility you can use defensively if you can get that global red. The Leona engage here isn't the best. And then LazyField, that was not the flash angle we were expecting. I thought maybe he'd go up.
Yeah.
And Q back towards Bull.
Let's see what Bull has to say about this. Nothing at all.
Well, I think he's pretty frustrated with the overall game state, because like I said, this doesn't really change that much. Buys him some extra space. This Dragon fight synced up with the Baron. It was likely going to be the deciding fight here in this game.
It's in 3 minutes. We're already setting up vision. Bro's like, no, this is our part of the map. You can take the top side.
Well, for DRX, they've actually gotten to the point now with the repeated stacking Drakes themselves to where this is also Soul for them. So trading Baron for Soul, if that was what DRX decided to go for, I feel like would be a bit of a double whammy choice. Like, where now they have the Soul to defend your Baron a little bit better, and the Soul is permanent. So DRX have a lot of vision there on the top side of the map. Bro had a lot of early vision over the Dragon, but it's now mostly cleared up. And like you said, I mean, it's important to have the vision, but not necessarily going to be lasting vision, as now side lane pressure becomes really important. Rich and Yehu are trying to set that up because that's what's going to give you the ability to hold on to that vision, is the fact that a Sylas could collapse. A teleporting Jace could come in. And I will remind our players we are 90 seconds away. Getting very deep here into this river.
We're invading the top river.
And this flank angle for Yehu, like, if you make moves like this, bro, and get caught by that Sylas flank, you will not enjoy what happens next, as Paulo needs to be positioned well so he doesn't get hijacked. Like, that is the main tool Yehu is looking for. There are other good tools, as we mentioned a lot here, but if that Sylas flank becomes a Magnet Storm Rail flank that is also doing Sylas damage, then that's the end of the game. Because Bro kept this game somehow, some way, relatively winnable, like relatively playable. They're significantly behind. The goal difference matters less and less the closer we get to like 40 minutes. The gold advantages you have across the board are still relatively small outside of that Sylas one, but it could all just end in an instant if that flank from Yehu does go off.
Yeah. One item I'm looking at here is Closer. He went full damage in this game, so he does a lot of damage. But there are a lot of threats on the side of DRX, and he does not have Zhonya's, where Yehu does. Definitely a very important item. We see a lot of players pick it up even third sometimes, sacrificing a bunch of damage just to be able to have it for all the important fights, but...
It's okay, Zettel frontline for him.
Yeah, well... and the poke is real.
Yeah, those basically every summoner is up outside of Lazy Field. This is up in 20 seconds here. I mean, this is going to be the game-deciding fight here. 15 seconds on Infernal Soul. And Yehu, like you said, he's pushing, threatening this inhibitor turret, and does have the teleport. They need to be decisive. They need to be fast.
They're going in on the Rich. I think he might just die here, but a lot of damage does go to Paulo, and Rich lives somehow. But DRX are being roped into a weird fight. They might just try to keep them around and go for the Nexus.
I mean, yeah, Rich could TP. Rich could TP into the base. He's just going to get away with this back for free. Yeah. Bro have to be fast here.
They're trying to stop the backs. They're not going to be able to. Morgan is going to back. We got double TPs coming in. I don't think DRX can end this game.
I don't think so. Can they win this fight? I don't think so either.
Dead. Lazy Field's dead. So is Rich. Should be Infernal Soul for the side of Bro now.
Snap call to go for the end does not work out.
Maybe they just end themselves.
I think they can certainly push this inhibitor at the very least. And they don't have any other TPs, though.
Just take the Infernal Soul, guys. That's a good idea, I'd say. Yeah.
They did lose the bottom inhibitor, which means that that's going to have to be dealt with here. But like I mentioned before, the fact that they have this Infernal Soul will help them with wave clear. And now they're going to turn their eyes to the Baron. They can have the defensive Baron buff, and that bottom inhibitor is going to mean very little. I mean, Yehu does have TP, but I don't think he'll be able to end on his own. Not without some crazy heroics here from Sponge and Andil to stop backs. I mean, he is walking towards mid. That wave is not stacked up just yet, but this Baron is fast enough to where I think that if he tried it, they would just empower Baron recall home, and he wouldn't be able to do anything there. So this gets crazy, right? Like, it all starts with this engage on the Rich, as DRX aren't fully set up because they're fully indexing into that split push. The fact that Rich is able to even finish this recall, get the full channel off, is kind of wild. But Bro are like, well, we just want to control this dragon.
Oh, he misses!
Yeah. And then as soon as Closer is back and the TP comes through from Rich, like, Rich has to all in on the play, as unfortunately Sponge is just left out to dry here. And you can see what happens when Morgan shows up as well. It's the equalizer trade, and then Rich is like, well, and Morgan just instantly goes golden. And I don't think he would have necessarily even had to, but it's Azonia, it's not an arm card. He's going to have that back in just a few moments. And now Bro are in the driver's seat. You know, we've had some chaotic Rise Group shenanigans here, but at the end of the day, Bro are fighting for that game 3. I'm sure Degon's tightly gripped onto the chair, or maybe he's got his hands together, or yeah, maybe he's frantically knitting. I'm not sure, but
oh, he's grabbed onto the chair. Yehu's going in on a Morgan, but he's alone. Does he even get the kill? I don't know. Oh, he's going to dash away. We got a pillar here. Yehu even just going to flash for good measure. Because why not? You don't need that.
This is not really the trade-up I think Morgan was hoping for in that exchange. Doesn't have his teleport, remember. And Yehu still does. Hijack's going to be up in just a second here. That was a very scary moment.
Stops the Baron push.
It's so much harder, I feel like, for Bro's comp to work because of the lack of engage. Like, they have Rel, which I was like, Wolf, are you sure? Like, they have Rel. But, like, that's all they really have. But they otherwise are this insane high damage comp. Closer got his arm guard. You mentioned he didn't have the Zonias earlier. He went full glass cannon, full lethality, right? Full lethality Zed. Like, they do so much damage, but to lock people down is really hard. But DRX have made a few mistakes where they've actually just kind of face planted into fights and given the engage to Bro, so to speak. Really need this Baron to get a little bit more damage done than what they have right now, though. 2,000 gold is a lot, but they want an inhibitor.
There's that damage. This is what Krako's supposed to try to do, and he dies through all the shields.
I mean, he's full build. He's full build. I mean, you know, you mentioned trading your life for it. He doesn't have to trade his life this time. No 80 carry means with the last 45 seconds of this Baron, they can get some real damage done in the base.
I think they might just be able to end it without Lazy Feel. You see that Rich is going to have to try to clear the waves. Yeah, who doesn't really do that very well, not against Baron.
They don't have Infernal Soul and Bro do, so they can clear any spawning minions so fast. They have Insane Poke with this Varus too. The Siege is fantastic.
All right, we're going to see a Chaos Storm on the ground as Paulo is going pretty deep, but he wants to get that kill on a Sponge. Yehu goes in. He's got a Storm up here as desperately trying to clear the champions. Krako getting pretty low himself, one chomp away, but it doesn't matter. Sponge only going to get that kill. And we have a series on our hands here, a Rise Group series going to a game number 3.
This is the incredibly close series I think a lot of people expected. Despite the fact that Bro's form, their near win over Nongshim, their win over D+, made them look like the more solid team on paper, I think, and despite there only being one DRX spread, which was, in fact, Wadid, I think that in this best of 3, most analysts, including myself, including the VOD analyst sitting right next to me, would have predicted this series could go the distance, could be crazy. I don't know. Degon will do anything for a Bro win.
It's our co-streamers here at the LCK. Our official co-streamers, Degon and Wadid, just doing a dance.
Look at how much this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone with the builds and this composition for Bro and the Infernal Soul, like that they dwarf DRX in damage. The effective damage matters most at the end of the game, the game-winning fight or the game-winning pick onto the Ezreal with the Zed. I could talk all day about how Zed doesn't have a utility, he only has damage, but when that damage pops the 80 carry and wins the game, I'll let it be, Valdez.
The best CC is just killing the guy. You put him down, he's not part of the game anymore, and that's exactly what Krako did. 1-1, we've got a series on our hands. He'll have the space after the break.
일단 얘네 트런들 레오나 빼고 다 노플이라 이번에 해보자. 이거 바로 노플 남아있거든.
아니 빅토르 빼놨고.
나 미카엘도 있어. 레오나 공 풀어줄게.
오케이. 나 10초야.
이거 너무 한 발 다 쏘지 말고 럼블 바루스 먼저 나눠서 이거 타워 칠까 봐봐 이번에.
야 제이스 원콤 내줄게 얘들아. 5초.
얘들아 트런들부터 트런들 안브라면서 너무 빨리 하지 마. 야 쌀.
야 제이스 잡았어.
얘들아 쌀. 잡았고.
네 잡았어.
형 죽어도 돼.
줄게.
타워 그냥 끝난다 이거.
오케이. 나이스. 수고했어.
맞아 엄청.
야 타.
Draft here for DRX, you know that Rich actually has a lot more agency in this one. I do agree with Wadid that maybe tanks are a safe bet for this player, but we'll see what they have in mind. I think when you look at the draft here for Bro as well, consider Morgan has a very specific champion pool. Bull has an even more tailored and specific champion pool. He's played the Kalista and the Varus now. And I almost feel like as DRX, you could just ban Draven here and you'd be like, all right, well, I've never seen you do anything else. What are you going to do now?
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of interesting. We haven't seen Jhin at all today. I know these aren't our most Jhin-y 80 carries, but it does feel pretty good in this meta. And, I wouldn't be surprised to see one of them dig deep and try to play it in this game.
Well, the Rise ban is pretty interesting as the Annie does come through here. A lot of utility and team fighting power taken away as Closer continues to draw so many bans. So much respect for this mid laner right now by DRX. That final ban, will it be towards Bull? I don't think so, but it would be very funny. Be another Closer ban. So this is going to get really interesting here in the mid lane. What we're going to potentially see as the final ban here could just be a Gwen ban. Pantheon's still available. I forgot about that. So usually doesn't make it this far.
Jace
was picked.
Was played in last game.
Yeah. So
it's not going to be played here.
Yeah, Gwen I feel like is pretty strong. But this time they're going to take the Ahri away. So arguably a fourth Closer target here. As Yeo's had some decent games of Ahri.
Yeah.
But they really just don't want Closer to have it. As 3 games in a row, they make sure of that.
I mean, that's fair. He is a great Ahri player, and it seemed like they came into this game, this series, with that on their minds. Now, Gwen is going to be played here by Morgan.
I don't think that you should play Ornn into Gwen. I think Keen and Zayas have taught enough Ornn players that lesson over the years. But maybe Rich will still do it. Doesn't have a lot of pairing with the Ahri in mid lane either in terms of ornaments giving you a ton of late game scaling. The Poppy is pretty early here, but we always see Poppy get a ton of value in these game 3s of Fearless, so I kind of like this. You keep the rest of the draft pretty flexible here. The Poppy itself is a flex pick, so that's a pretty cool lock-in. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it feels very good. It doesn't reveal anything about what you're going to be playing in mid. Looks like Ahri Nocturne is going to be the play here.
Not too bad. Nocturne has a really nice win rate because he warps games, and he's often picked in these scrappy game 3s where things get a little bit complicated and comps don't really come together like you'd like, and he just makes the fight so much harder.
And Poppy can't deny him.
No.
You know?
Senna going to get prioritized up here pretty high for Lazy Feel. A pick he's been pretty comfortable with in the past, so not a huge surprise to see that. But it does leave the door open for Bull to try to really hard index into this lane with something like a Caitlyn pick even, if he's bold enough to do it. We've seen Bull also pick that one to win lane and push into some scaling lanes. But all eyes on Closer instead. If he wants to pick a tier list pick, it's going to have to be now. I just don't know what that pick is, really. And the Draven is just going to come through, because guess what? It's Bull.
It's Draven.
Like, they kept putting the camera on Bull earlier, and I was like, no, wait for R3, because we know he can play Kalista, Varus, Draven, and occasionally Caitlyn. It's crazy to me that in a series like this, where I know this, and we've been watching Bull for so long, that like it's not banned away from him, and he gets to play all 3? Like, how does that happen, DRX? How is that allowed? Then you picked Senna into it as well. I'm not saying he's going to win, but you're really giving Bull his best angles, man.
He's definitely been given a good shot at showing what he's got in this series, to say the least. He's had some good moments, some other moments. Some targets towards the top lane then are actually a good shout. We've seen that a bit into the Gwen, just try to neutralize it and not really fight it. Alistar, I thought might have been Prio picked, but instead it's just banned so that it's not R4 picked again.
The B4 Alistar ban is,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if they banned it or if it was just burned into my monitor.
Yeah.
But and I think they did ban it. I got confirmation. The Gnar ban here is pretty interesting. Also banning Jax away from Rich. So just giving Morgan a little bit more protection there on the top side, because the range matchup into the Gwen can be annoying. The Jax of the Gwen can be very volatile. And perhaps Morgan just wants to really have full control there. And like I mentioned earlier, I don't think Rich wants to play something like an Ornn into this. It's just too risky. Now they have a Senna, so it helps a little bit in terms of like the comp's identity, but you also picked Nocturne. So I don't think that's really what he's looking for here. And that top matchup might end up being something super fiery, like he could go Kennen or Closer looking for a Corki. That is tier listy, actually. It's at the bottom of the tier list. You have to kind of really scrape and reach deep. But Chovy's the only person who puts it higher. But like when Ryze, Orianna, Annie, Yone, Sylas, Talia, Azir, and Victor are gone, yeah, Corki's the next one on the list, it's true.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe he could have looked for the Smolder mid, but he's going to go for the old school.
I mean, they have
80 mid.
Decent amount of damage AP-wise with the Gwen in this draft, so...
Senna Nautilus.
Senna Nautilus, bringing it back. Except it's not going to be the Nautilus farming. Rich pulling out the Ambessa, an old and not a good in terms of win rate here. It was 25% yesterday. Now has dropped below 25% win rate here in the LCK. Has been our least successful in terms of percentage of games played and percentage of games won top lane pick. Poppy will get sent to the bottom lane as Kroko locks in the Sejuani to round out this draft. Great synergy with the Gwen. And they will swap that. I'm very confident. There we go. And I look at these two drafts, and obviously it's Game 3 Fearless, and things get a little bit murky, things get a little bit tougher to suss out, like in terms of, you know, when you see two comps like this that aren't necessarily as meta or as strong, which team won out. Sometimes you have to really look into who the players are and what their skill sets are. And when I do that, and I look into these players, I feel like I like Bro's draft way more. Sure, Yehu's Ari, I do trust it. I think Lazyfield has some mastery with Senna, but Bull gets his Draven. They have a lot of ways to set up picks in these team fights. And the fact that the Gwen is there is a lot of extra damage. Corki's very safe. It feels kind of hard to mess up what Bro have done here. And if we keep getting its Rise group baby level gameplay here, I just feel like the comp of Bro is so much easier to play in that type of scenario.
Just here for the vibe. Also, go KC, go OTP. Guy in front of him shook his head. He's like, nah. Nah.
Well, you know
Not
what?
about that.
I don't know if we could get any more vibes than a Game 3 between DRX and Bro today.
It's a Rise group bonanza between these two teams. And yeah, I feel like there's a lot of protection, at least, for the carries here on the side of Bro. But it all comes down to execution, as it always does. Let's hop on the riff for game number 3.
수환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Game 3, DRX versus Bro.
미니언 생성까지 30초
Who
남았습니다.
will be the winner at the end? Will it be Wadid, the only DRX predictor? Or will it be the
Everybody else.
professionals? Yeah, everybody else, including Gigon.
Well, you know, there was a time after like the second round of Gwen nerfs for like a day or two where we all postulated, we all wondered, we all thought, we had a little ponder. We were like, does Ambessa do well into Gwen now? Is it okay? Because it kept being picked into Gwen, especially early on this season. And then we all collectively realized the answer is no. It doesn't do that well. It's a very skill-based matchup, very tricky to play out. Ambessa, so difficult to get value out of the ultimate because of how it works. You can't choose your target, hits the furthest away target, so it's a very niche pick. It requires a lot of coordination with your team. It's got a lot of dashes. It was really strong on release, right? We saw it have a ton of success even as far back as Kespa Cup, but it just really isn't working right now. And it was the first pick that Rich heavily started playing earlier on this year when he was struggling in Fearless. So he's played it a ton. I just don't know if it's going to be the X factor that DRX need in this game. Because that's the part of the draft that's the biggest question mark for me in terms of execution. I feel like everything that Bro has, simple. Rich, like I said, he's played it a ton. He unfortunately only won a single time. But level 2 is not looking good for him.
Yeah, Morgan not really able to push it too far, but he does get the stack up. And now he's going to push it a bit farther. And zone him off the wave just a bit here. Doesn't look like he'll deny any XP, but Morgan's still going to be winning this one. And then you factor in the Sejuani.
He's not a bit Valdez. He's actually really trying to win the lane.
Oh. I see. I didn't realize. I couldn't tell.
He's like actually trying his best, Valdez. He's like, I'm not messing around, man.
Meanwhile, Sponge is playing Nocturne, so he's just going to be farming the jump.
Yeah, he's trying to hit level 6 so that he can be relevant in this game. And until then, that will be all he's doing is farming, is just trying to do other things. Chance of success a little bit lower. So at least Yehu got the last one there. Closer has a lot of experience playing Corki mid, and it was very popular.
We do have Chorky, which is Chovy Corky. Do we have Clorky?
We'll find
Any Clorky enjoyers?
How about Corzer? No, I like Clorky more.
Yeah, Clorky's better for sure. It's not very close either.
What about Corkser?
It's okay.
Corkers?
Corker Z?
Well,
This is definitely going to be a bro and brew game.
oh yeah, it is.
They have double 80 carry.
The tension is risen. It's a bit of a scaling Senna situation. Bro is bro. They don't want to lose their Draven stacks. They're going to play really safe and wait for that perfect moment, which probably won't come for a really long time. There's a ward here. Rich is chilling. And stakes are high. You know, Bro would even out the scoreline between these two with a, or sorry, DRX would even out the scoreline with a win here. Would put themselves on 5-12 to Bro's 5-12. And, you know, only a few teams don't make it to play-ins at the end of the year. Like, your mortality is more real in the Rise group.
Yeah.
And for DNF, like, it might be coming sooner than anyone could have anticipated if they can't turn their season around, which is why near wins like what they had yesterday hurt so much. But all of these games really do matter. I think for a lot of people watching this, they're like, nah, they're already both in the Rise group. Give me that KT high-stakes match against Genji later. But in truth, this matchup matters just as much, if not more, in terms of what could happen at the end of round 5 if you're really looking towards the future. As Bro are often looking towards the future.
I mean, we do have Sponge in this game. You know that SpongeBob episode where he's curled up in the fetal position, just screaming future.
That did happen,
That's
yeah.
DRX. Just thinking about their future in the Rise group. Not quite DNF levels.
Is that the episode where, like, there's a million Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boys coming out of, like, the time machines?
It does involve a time machine. For some reason, I don't remember that moment you speak of.
Like Dirty Bubble, I think there's like a million of him. But
Oh, yeah.
There's a million of like the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boys. And is that even the Wumbo episode?
No, it's
not that one. I just have like all the SpongeBob from my childhood is like all one episode. I'm like, it was also the one with the pencil.
Yeah.
And the Caveman SpongeBob, it was that one, right?
It was the Caveman SpongeBob one, yes.
Where also Plankton tries to steal the Krabby Patty formula. Was that one, right?
I remember that one.
It only happened one time in that same episode with all the other ones. And Squidward was really unhappy about everything. Yes, that one. I think it was that one.
Played the clarinet.
Yes. Saw his hopes and dreams buried underground. Yeah. Well, I thought like maybe if we talked about SpongeBob for a few more seconds, maybe something would happen. But Bro are gonna PvE this dragon.
Remember when there was a week there where we were like, if we just talk about ice cream, action will happen. And then it actually worked for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to work in this scenario.
No, the Draven Prio into the center lane is going to mean first dragon goes to Bro. Simple, but exactly what you're looking for. This time, no sponge steal, no sneaky nocturne coming in there.
Huh.
Usually we do this when one of the players who's on the 2W is in the game.
In this case, we couldn't. And in fact, probably Rich is one of the times where Ambessa won, or rather,
Lost.
Ambessa lost.
Yeah. I think it is important to showcase, though, that this matchup has been played 12 times because Ambessa was kind of considered to be a counter pick. Although we've quickly figured out that that wasn't true. Was kind of considered a counter pick to the Gwen by our teams. And then they stopped doing it because they realized it wasn't. But in this game, in Fearless, Rich is going to try it out one more time. And so far, he's doing okay in the lane, at least.
Yeah.
I don't think it's all about the lane. I think it's a lot about what these two champions offer in team fights, which is very different. Consistent damage for the Gwen, and often engage in kind of crazy brawling and bruisers type fights for the Ambessa. But sometimes that backline access can be game-changing, especially into a comp with a relatively immobile AD carry like the Draven. You know, maybe that one Rich ultimate could stop him from getting his big cash in. It's a lot of maybes, but I mean, I'm setting up the scenarios, Valdez.
Gotta set up the scenarios for at least one of them to come true. You know, that's kind of our job. It's like, you know, which one of these scenarios is going to come true? I feel like the scenario where we sit back and we wait and we bro and brew.
Hold on, though, because like 2 junglers on the top side, Sponge level 6.
Nah.
Oh, do you see that? Champion damage.
Sponge did not spell shield the knockback.
He doesn't care. He's got his fear.
He elected not to. And you know what? Could have gotten Sejuani ulted instead, so probably better to save it.
I think we're fighting a little bit. I think they're going to fight a little bit, fellas. I think the champions might attack each other.
Okay. Let's see. We got ults coming on from both sides, actually. Full-on engage into that backline as down goes Sponge immediately. This is the episode where SpongeBob dies, I guess, as down he goes, and now Yeo's in trouble. And, bro, they pulled the trigger so quickly that DRX could not respond.
Palu sacrifices himself for a good engage. You know, it was the second time in a row. The first time he's able to get on top of Sponge, then the second time it is a lot more relevant during the actual team fight. Puts them in 1,000 gold. The advantage here, as well as will be the triple grub secures. Oh,
House.
Man. Uh-oh, Yo. Looks like he had something happen there. He was gesturing to the ref, so hopefully it's something simple like a hardware issue that will be easily resolved. Because today's the day of, you know, Rek'Sai mislocks, and who knows what could happen next. This series is like...
We got so many people here.
I mean, it's a banger matchup.
It's like a packed audience.
I mean, Bro's suddenly getting super famous thanks to a great name, cool players, Closer having his best individual year, and Digon all over FM Korea. DRX 2022 World Champions. Of course, the fans are going to still support. Yeah, it was almost did a Morgan there for a second, but as soon as we know what is happening, we will let you guys know. Well, I did promise that earlier about the mislock from Rich, and we were a little bit late on letting them know. We let them know a little bit later, but it's okay. Eventually, they were informed, Valdez.
White team.
Yeah.
That's what that says.
DRX jerseys, really good drawing of all the players there.
Yep. Good meta as well, you know, keeping the sign in front of the face.
Show me your cool play.
Okay. We've seen some cool plays.
I do think that there's a sign right there that's not being utilized. You know, to the right side there? She thought about writing something, but maybe someone took it. Maybe like what that guy had, she was like, oh man, I was going to say that. So she just didn't make one.
I was going to say, show me your cool play, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
we got confirmation his glasses were foggy, and so they needed a... No, I don't know, guys.
They're not testing the headset. He looks like he's getting locked back in again.
I have almost those exact same glasses that he has. That's wild. Like, even the little golden parts of the edges.
Maybe you got it from the same place.
They might be the same glasses.
What's the word for an eye doctor? Ophthalmologist? Is that correct?
Maybe. I think that's right. I think that's right.
It sounds correct, but I don't know. Reported in-game bug.
That sounds like controversy, Valdez.
That sounds like
I did read
delay.
I did read the bug list, but I didn't memorize it, so I'm not sure.
I always read it and then I'm like, oh, I don't know.
We're also, you know, not able to acknowledge the official bugs, so that they're not repeated by players in ranked games. But sometimes we do, of course, when they come up like this.
So Digon, importantly, he let me know it's an optometrist.
Optometrist.
What's ophthalmologist then? Is that a thing?
I thought that was also a thing. No, I first thought was optometrist, but I was like, I'm not going to embarrass myself. But then Digon was like, of course it is, Wolf.
He just said ophthalmologist. It is. It's a thing. Okay, he's going to let us know. Thanks.
See, the cool thing is, like, normally when spacers need to talk, they use a microphone, but I have the best lip reader in esports right next to me.
I'm very good at it, yes.
So Valdez is just like, yeah, he said it's a thing. I'm like, cool. I like don't even need subtitles. Valdez is on point.
Yeah. Generally, I try when players are talking about picks, but...
Fighting until the end.
Morgan, 700 kills. Congratulations. Please, bro, win 2-0-1?
No, 2-1.
Oh, I thought it was going to be like the 0 cancel into 1.
No, she either wrote that sign after they lost one game, or she was very aware that today was going to be a 3-gamer. As we had all thought could be possible, but I didn't know we were going to get the 3-gamer into the extendo pause.
So we have some more controversy. Ophthalmology is the specialized field of medicine that focuses on the health of the eye. So Is
So, like-
Deacon wrong?
So,
Or are there two different names?
okay, well, wait, say that again. Read that definition out
A
again.
specialized field of medicine that
Yes.
focuses on the health of the eye.
Okay, so medicine. So that sounds like, for example, eye drops, or the study of things that you would do to like apply, I don't know, any type of healing or adjustments to the eyes. Whereas the previous one, optometrist, would just be like the study and like profession of knowing about eyes, right? But that seems like a more medical field, kind of like pharmacist versus Hey. He wants me to do the thing. But it went away. I was gonna read the whole thing, but
Yeah.
now I'm just not gonna do it. If they put it back up, I'm not. They missed the chance. Too
Yeah,
quick.
the timing was missed, so
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I have to save it for next time.
Yeah. Unlucky. Hopefully we get an update on what an optometrist is.
So,
So
do you want to say it, or you want me to?
Ari's ult charges are not stacking up.
So that is the bug that he has reported.
They
So,
didn't stack up
so this means that
in a fight.
when Ari gets resets, she gets an extra charge for her ultimate, and that affects her ability to continue to dash and chase kills or escape. Like, it's a very important aspect of her kit. It was the rework that brought Ari back to the meta. So there's a lot of things that could happen. Like, first of all, we have to verify if his claim is correct. Then we need to potentially try to chronobic to see if it fixes it, if his claim was accurate. So it will take us a little bit longer to actually sort out this issue.
Yep, we're going to have a short break, and we'll be right back right after that.
We have the dive coming in, and Yucal in a lot of trouble. He's taking damage, goes golden, but Canyon is in the back line, Keen's in the back line, and they're just chipping away at these front lines. Canyon is going to be taken out finally, but look at the health bars of DRX. Ruler only finally gets here, and now the real damage will be coming through as Fudge, incredibly tanky, but he's looking for lazy kills. He's getting the jump offs. As the explosion should go off and kill Rich. There it is, and he takes down Hondo, and that is exactly the
Double
fight
kill,
that Jinju were
triple
looking
kill.
for.
Quadra kill, no Penta. I know Ruler's gonna complain about that one.
Okay, the train comes out of the station, but unfortunately the tracks went straight to the wall for some reason. Charm is going to connect onto Showmaker, but he's in relative safety at the moment. That is going to be the Drake secured by Lucid, as now Polo's in a bit of trouble, and once again, he was trying to do battle right in amongst it. And there goes the Impale, it goes wide. The Magnus Storm is decent, but so is the AoE from DK, and it's a triple for aiming. Hype is now in the back of this pit. She is surviving for so incredibly long. As the charm comes out, the Iron Blaze comes on in, and the Gromp is going to kill aiming. Peanut's got to get in somehow. He was in the Shroud, and they're not exactly able to zone him away. I think he can just dash in on that, and yeah, he goes in, but they immediately turn onto Peanut, and it will be the Otacon over to the side of Gen Z. Now a big sweep on the Zeus, and the damage from the soldiers is gigantic right next to that wall. As Canyon gets a win somehow at the end of it all. He does it again. Toby goes down. Toby penta ankle. As yeah, they're going to try to block for him. The Quadra comes through, and Toby comes in and picks up the penta kill. Another penta. Beginning to lead. Here we go again. They are going to find the one guy that they are looking for, that is Bulldog, and he gets feared right at the very end. As Carry
맞아 비전 없어? 영원히 안 돌아?
It doesn't quite matter though, as Berserker, the last auto from Baker, gets him down. That is the Crocodile going down, but another Raptor is going to fall, and it's Stockton to collect that kill, and now they're trying to burst this one down. They might be able to do so, but the culling comes through. Diablo looking to try and knock them down. Sobro happy to get out of the fight, and now Peter down to 100. The scatter is once again phenomenal, and KT just have that little bit more left in the tank. Being
传奇该如何铸就？
Uzi. He was really young and really prodigious.
The AD carries known for being like greedy, very selfish. The game was about him at all times.
This is the best AD carry in the game.
Incredibly mechanically gifted.
He's going for every trade. He's fighting for every farm. He's playing like a psycho. Whoa, that's dude.
我特别喜欢虐别人的感觉，他打法像疯狗一样。
Uzi is a walking gun. 네, 우지를 보고 캐리가 이런 거구나라는.
Everyone loves a wonder kid.
这肯定是会有一个，就是有一个利弊的一个衡量的。
Only person to reach 2 finals and have 2 losses to his name.
Uzi is denied another title.
太多次觉得可以的事情都没有做到。
People wanted to see him lift a trophy.
就觉得自己还可以赢一切的对手，我都不会怕。
他们会在他登场的那个瞬间，就是
他的这些经历、这些故事，到今天依然能打动。
He made people see that there is more to it than just doing what's expected of you.
The crownless king now rules the world.
Hey guys, we're back after this little break. So we have some information about the situation here. We are getting to go back into the game as we are going to chrono break back to about 8 minutes 30 into the game. And hopefully the issue will be resolved.
Yeah. I don't want to jinx anything. I think the worst case scenario obviously would be that it doesn't happen a second time. And Yahoo is unable to get his ult charges, and we have to pause again. But this is probably a decision that that Bro has agreed to, based on what happened. Otherwise, they will not be happy with it, as the way the fight went. But either way, that's the decision that's made. I think everybody's ready to just get back into the action, and I know you and I definitely are, because starting to go down the rabbit hole of eye medicine was. Not really what I was hired to do here, and not really like what I'm good at. And so we are going to be getting into that as soon as the chrono break is ready. If you guys are not familiar with chrono break, it redoes the game from scratch and does all actions at a really high speed. So you have to repeat every action to get back in. So that's kind of the loading process here. That's how the game is coded. It's very common for esports games to be done like that. That's why often chrono breaking and similar types of, resuming from replay do take some time in other esports as well.
Yep. Bo looks like he's hanging out, probably thinking about lifting some weights. That was one of the highlights of the season.
Yeah.
Him flexing, Degon also flexing. A very good celebration. I'm not sure if it won celebration of the week, honestly. It might have been one of those weeks where there was just like a supreme amazing one, and unfortunately theirs was in the same week. Either way, it happened. I was glad it happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think we might see it again if they're able to close out the series in a decent spot at the pre-pause location. But the game has since been paused, and remember, like, the fight was started off with a Poppy engaging, getting a stun into the wall, and the fight was essentially really won at that moment. I couldn't tell you the exact timestamp of when that happened, but we may be jumping right into the middle of a fight. So
yeah,
get ready, esports fans, because this is going to be... If you ever wondered like what would happen if you could get a redo in a team fight in a moment in your life, like in esports, sometimes we get that. It's rare, but sometimes we get that. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. Says first time down to the no, next week is the beginning of working for her. Hopefully you get the win so I can see it before I go to work.
Yeah, she's starting a new job basically, and she wants a win before she has to start her new job and go to work all the time and not be watching Bro DRX.
Yeah. You know, Wolf, I'd like to start my job as well.
Well, we did start it. It's
the
just
viewers
been interrupted.
You know, it's their job to watch, to view. That's why they're called viewers. I mean, we have some great fan signs, so at least that's going to keep us company here for a little bit.
Yeah, but, I thought it'd be fun to kind of rewatch that fight and go into scenarios of what could or may transpire moving forward. But we're going to watch it in real time, hopefully soon, as it normally takes, at this point in the game, about 5 minutes to get the chrono break completed. So by the time we were notified, that was a few minutes ago. So I promise you guys we were very close to getting back in. And we'll see what... really hoping to get Legend. Fortunately, that won't be happening, at least not this season. But
they want to get it today, so they want to be Legends for today.
Sure.
Even if you're in Rise Group, you can be Legend for a day. If you win. Just in theory.
Man, that should be...
Not literally.
That's the world song for this year, Legend for a Day.
Legend for a Day? That does sound like a song.
Like,
title.
Even DNF can be Legend for a Day.
Yeah. The guy's like, I want to cover my face as well. Can we please share? And it's Sunke today, so you just know that Sunke is just making fun of them the whole time. It's great.
Yeah, Sunke's got a way with words that both make you feel cool but also embarrassed, you know, at the same time. Because it's hard to live up to Sunke. Like, just by existing, he's like,
yeah.
Oh man, I'm being compared to Sunke the whole time.
He is perfect for these moments, honestly.
Yeah. He does hard carry, but you know, unlike him, we can't interact with the audience directly.
Yeah. Maybe if we just yell down at them, like if I spot someone who's really close, I'm just like, hey!
Well,
hey, you!
Sometimes when we make funny jokes during these pauses, it does get people to be startled because they forget that there are also other people yelling about the game over here. There's also moments in the game where...
We do exist up here, by the way.
Yeah, well, there's moments in the game where it's like a quiet moment, and then Atlas or you make like a joke, and the other commentator laughs loudly about the joke, and everyone kind of looks over like, what's going on over there? Because it's pretty quiet in the KR side.
Imagine if Degon casted and somebody made a joke and he started laughing. I think he might go over the Korean mics.
It could happen.
Like people would be like, whoa, what's going on over there? Did someone just get punched? Very happy for Palu's Poppy. I am too. I think Poppy deserves more respect.
Honestly, he is making the most impactful game, or most game-impacting moments so far in this game. So, like, he had the attempt earlier, then had the big team fighting.
Degon, hello.
Hello. I need to ask a question about this.
Yes.
Why would my laughing lead to, did someone get punched?
No, it's just like, you know...
It's like what?
It's
what kind
like
of laughing
somebody,
is punching, Valdez?
No, if you get punched really hard, you know, like you exclaim, right? You make a really loud sound. So people who don't know that you're laughing might be startled and be like, whoa, what just happened over there? Did somebody get punched?
I mean, I think I don't know, man. I think Degon's laughing could be considered gut-wrenching, at times.
Well, you know what? Okay. Here's the
what
deal.
did he mean by that, Degon?
I don't know what he meant by that. Chat saying bullying, but more importantly, when we do round 5, if we do a cast, I would like to try cast with you two.
Okay.
Yeah. With us
I'll accept
specifically?
This. Yeah.
Yes.
The VOD analyst.
The VOD analyst. Maybe we'll flex play-by-play. Who knows?
Okay.
You could be.
Wolf,
you guys
you
just imagine him? Maybe. Can you just imagine him like right here between us with that big orange shirt on? And like we're trying to get him to be involved because he's, you know, sometimes Degon, he gets checked out during the desk because you don't have to watch every moment. But he's just here knitting. Okay, like he's knitting while we're trying. Degon, come on, the big play's happening. Poppy going in, and Degon's just shoe knitting.
I can shoe knitting.
It's bro and shoe. I'm just trying something new. because Bro and Brew has just been done before. It's been seeped. It's been seeped. But yes, let's do the TriCast. I'm very excited to get to wear the LCK badge too. That's something I haven't been able to do.
All right, so how about...
Do you think your big muscles can fit in this jacket?
All right.
Just curious.
Hold on, no,
Yeah.
hold on. Let's
I'm just asking the questions that FM Korea wants to hear.
That's true. Hi, FM Korea.
Let's set a date, okay? The final
Going on a date?
round robin matchup between Bro and DRX, like round 5,
Yeah.
Bro DRX. I want you to be here with us. Okay, I'll see you
We have to
there.
relive this moment.
All right.
Round 5. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
G-Sun made a claim that her muscles are bigger.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say to that, D-Gon?
G-Sun was flexing earlier in the cafeteria before we started the day. two witnesses right there on the desk as well.
Oh, G-Sun works out. Yeah.
Yeah, G-Sun's definitely doing good work. You know, sometimes I get confused with G-Sun and Bull. You know, those G-Sun biceps definitely on Bull's level. All right, I just wanted to check in with that. Continue reading the signs. I would like for you to try to get one of the fans' attention. I'm sure you can do it, Valdez. I believe in you.
Let's get somebody up here on the space or the caster desk.
Let's
or on the space.
Let's try to
could
figure
do
out what
that
would be
too.
the best way that wouldn't get us in trouble to get someone's attention, like with loud noises.
What would get you in trouble right now? Just we're in a 15-minute pause. Just be like, hey, you!
Why don't you go out there, D-Gon?
Yeah, get out there with a mic and start working the crowd.
Yeah, just hold your mic up and act like you're a host and just run through the audience, and your audio won't go through, and everyone will just be like, who's that guy in the orange? You'll go viral, man. That's what you're always trying to look for, right? Is to go viral. Oh.
What's going on? What are
I don't know. I thought
the Bro fans are cheering.
Yeah, go Bro fans. Also DRX fans, but more Bro fans this time. All
Is
right.
it starting? Is it happening?
Oh, looks like
Bye, D-Gon.
we're moving. Bye.
They were cheering because they were
lost
taking
D-Gon.
D-Gon away. They were like, I heard production was like, all right, that's enough. That's enough of the shoe knitter. And everyone just clapped and cheered really loudly. Get that picture off the global stream.
Honestly, if D-Gon, if he we got gameplay. We're back in the game. Are we?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, this is where we paused, actually. So, I don't believe we had a chrono break. Either way, we're going to be going in. Rich seems to be dead. Takes a big snip to the face, and the knockup comes in. Palu, he is just the better ganking support, and he gets Morgan a double kill.
Okay, well, things still going very Bro here in this third and final game. And we got the update that actually Chrono Break wasn't real. It's not happening. But it's the 30th anniversary of Chrono Trigger, so that's cool. All right, let's watch this this play one more time here up the top side. As Palu, by the way, for a third time, will make a big impactful play here. As Morgan is, in fact, Gwen. And very difficult to kill. Has a lot of sustain.
Oh,
He's like, please. Nice.
He's so happy.
And after what was a really rocky start in this series, I think very happy with what has been our most one-sided start of all 3 games that we've had. And it's Bro in the lead, 2,000 gold, the advantage.
Yeah. So, guys, I have the official updates. After further internal review, we confirmed that the timing was nearly identical to the 3-second mark for Ahri ult. To get the reset, it was over 3 seconds, and so she did not get a reset on her ult, and so we resumed the game without a chrono break because it was not a bug. So all that time, because we thought it was a bug, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, we, meaning Yahoo, but
And
it
also,
is what it is.
and
It's
also,
not the
I
first
mean,
time it's happened.
It was heavily reviewed because these are really important games.
Yeah.
And stakes are high, like we've been saying this entire time. So you want to make sure that you have all the information. And nobody's calling anybody a liar. Everyone's just looking at the data. Everyone's looking at the gameplay. And you and I couldn't look at it, sadly, so we didn't really get a say on the matter. But we trust our refs. We trust the players. And it was a very
as well.
Indeed. Well, look, Corky's got a kill. Gwen has a 2-0 lead. Our UI broke, so I don't know what the gold lead is, but it's probably big. We talked about how the Gwen
I'm gonna guess like
in this matchup
600 gold.
I'd say that's a little low, maybe 750.
Maybe, yeah.
Because 20 CS plus 202. They're both sitting on their first item.
Which has a kill. I don't know.
Well, Morgan may drop a little bit here if he does in fact die to this gank. He does not have flash, but he is Gwen. No TP for Closer to bail him out, so it's just going to be a 1v4. Good luck, Closer!
All right, we'll see what happens. He gets those extra resistances. He does not get feared. They're still going for the dive here. Zondo with Aftershock. It's going to tank it up, but he
Closer's
doesn't have
coming.
flash.
Closer's
he still
coming.
gets away.
He doesn't go all the way.
Meanwhile,
X's.
Okay. Just going to pull them back.
I was like, I said good luck, Closer, because Closer, as soon as they went for the dive, he's like, I'm coming. I'm going. Don't worry, hold on, just hold on a little bit longer. And then when he got up there and the turret was ramping up.
This is a win for Bro, by the way.
He did, yeah, no, of course. But he didn't actually get all the way up there. I thought he was about to do the big corky boom boom.
Yeah.
He had boots, you know,
Well,
he was flying fast. So yeah, as you say, they still get the first turret. Bull gets a ton of free time with this turret and farming, and Morgan ended up, you know, losing his life, but it took so many resources, 4 players. I feel like it could have been even better, honestly, if Closer didn't try to go. And even he is feeling pretty fine about the situation. Has a 150 gold bounty. He's even in farm, has that extra kill.
Do you hear that?
Yeah. Don't worry.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't just me.
There have been similar bugs in other esports I've commentated where couldn't redo the game. We had to keep doing it, but like the sound happened the whole game. So like we toggled the sound and muted the game sounds unless team fights were happening, but that sound was still happening in team fights.
Was it really loud?
It was pretty similar, to be honest. Let me just say Gazlo, and if you guys remember the game, you'll know.
There used to be a really funny bug in League where Amumu's laugh was global.
Yes, I remember this as well.
Yeah, unfortunately it got removed. I don't know why. One of the best things to ever be added to the game. Great decision, honestly.
Well, luckily the Gatling gun, which I'm pretty sure that was the sound that we were hearing from Closer, is no longer taunting us. As we do see a bit of a collapse here from Palu, who once again is everywhere, man of the hour. When you have the winning lane into the Senna, you can just roam and do whatever you want and dodge charms. Or charms miss. That might be on the miss column for me, not a dodge. It was a little of both.
A little bit of both.
The pause broke me.
Poppy's annoying, just in general, but also to hit with charms.
Also, I didn't see what soul it was.
Ocean.
It might be Ocean, yeah, because of the plants, yeah. Just making sure.
Lots of plants. And Bro got the first 2 Drakes. And Ocean is not that bad.
It's good it's decent for Gwen.
Yeah, you got Gwen, you got Sejuani, you got even Poppy.
Yeah, that kind of gets some value.
It's really good for just general sustain, you know, when you're trying to do objectives, if you're getting poked down a little bit. There's not a whole lot of poke on the side of DRX, so I feel like that's where it kind of falls short. But still, you know, you take a little fight, you back away, you regen, maybe you can go for an objective like that. If it gets closer later on, it's still going to be very valuable.
Okay, yep, the sound is gone. It seems like one of our observers has the bug. So, apologies in advance for that. This is not a bug, he's just Gatling gunning the wave. And Yehu's going to engage on him.
Yep, not going to hit the charm, but still a ton of damage coming in onto the Corki. And yeah, Closer's going to go down. That's a shutdown. Closer, or rather, Krako does have to flash just to get out of there.
Well, they both flash, and it was a really cool flash from Closer. A clash, if we're going to go back to our memes from earlier, but it does not end up saving his life, as cool as it was.
Clorky.
Clashing and colliding.
Denied the cannon.
Yeah, that was a small victory, but you love to see it. So, Dragon is going to be up here pretty shortly. In terms of vision control right now, Bro has all of it. Palu has like 3 wards he just put down there. There is, like, I don't think there's any angle Sponge can show up from that they don't know. And he doesn't have ultimate, which I guess would be the only way. And they have Herald Prio. So Bro are looking for Soul Point here pretty soon. Going to be the mid turret that goes down first. Bull going to have this charge right behind him. No punish on the Draven. and they're just chilling. I mean, like, side lane controllers, closers.
Yeah.
It was a very cool play there on the top side. They ended up getting 2 flashes, but that alone isn't enough just yet for DRX to get back into this game.
Yeah.
There's the dragon, and they have all that vision control. So, like, as DRX here, you just really don't know anything.
It's pretty free. Like, Sponge or Ondil, or together, they need to move forward and get vision. They can't really do that. Rich's top lane, I think they're just agreeing to give this one away, which is okay for now, but there's going to be a lot of pressure here in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Would have felt better if, like, he got that before the dragon and that got them feats of strength. It did not, as feats of strength are already bros, but still money in the Ambessa's hands, or pockets, or wherever she keeps her wallet. Feels good. Moving towards the second item. But ultimately, Soul Point here means Bro can play this game however they like. Like, they're completely in control of how these next fights are going to go. For example, when Otacon is getting set up for when a Drake is up, they can just go, well, you know, we'll focus on that instead. Otacon, very impactful objective, especially when it comes to side laning champions like Gwen versus Ambessa. The levels matter a lot, as Rich showcased on the Scion in Game 1, shutting Morgan's Yorick out completely.
This is very obnoxious.
Yeah, he's just being annoying, but it's the correct move.
Especially when nothing's happening.
Yeah.
You know? Like, if there were an objective, or you want some pressure, or something like that, like, sure, push out the wave, get map pressure, but in this case, just deny some minions.
It
Why
denies
not?
minions, and also it keeps him farming at the most safe place, where his jungler is, where he's next to his turret, and he's just going to casually continue stacking, because right here is where he is at his best, like where he is the least vulnerable. So, love to see moves like that. Bull really understanding one of his 3 champions that he plays in pro play here in the LCK, that he got all 3 of. This is the 3rd one, and he's showing again that he has that intelligent play. Yeah. And it is a bit of a quiet moment here, a bit of a lull state. As for DRX, you're super far behind, but you can't catch Bull. You don't have a lot of deep vision anywhere outside of the top side of the map where Closer knows there's that vision, and he's just playing incredibly respectfully. And we're just going to be waiting for that next dragon. Like we mentioned, going to be up around Otacon. And the Otacon will be up for like 3 minutes earlier, 2.5 minutes. But it's a chill bro and brew game now.
It's a DRX and drink.
Yeah.
It's a bro and brew. Also a bro and brew, apparently. Closer is dead. Not a lot of help for him, as eventually Paulo does come over. We got a TP as well, but it's kind of wasted as the play is already done. But yeah, another pick on a closer. I think that's really the only thing that DRX can do, so I like that they are doing it.
I don't think anyone's going to be able to punish Bull for this push, but DRX are going to try to get this Otacon on spawn here. It's on the top side of the map, which is where they just made that play, so they have full control. This is just a really smart play from DRX. They isolate Corki, Ritz hits the ult, and I mean, Bull has his own ultimate, but they just don't have anything to fight with this. Morgan did not have teleports coming up just now. They're going to try to get Rich in return, but, you know, I feel like in this draft, it's kind of okay for the Gwen to just get a turret in exchange, especially considering that they didn't have the ability to fight for that. I think this is definitely the right call. Like, a lot of people might be going, oh, bro, just let him have it, but I think this was the play that was going to be the highest chance of Bro getting something back. And it's on the bottom side of the map where they want to have control for this next dragon in a minute 30 anyways. We did do a jump cut as soon as the Otacon was taken, so we'll take a look at experience in a moment. Isn't life, they're getting more.
Yeah, we're fighting in bot lane. That's just going to be a flash away from the Poppy ult, so Ridge will live. Bit of a follow-up on Apollo. No depth charge here, but potential for another hook to land, and also the Nocturne to come on in, and Apollo starts running the other way. As he knows, he is dead. Unfortunately, that's going to give that kill over to Yehu, who really loves it. Take a look at Yehu's items here. Already has the death cap.
Yeah, he's
second.
Going straight into that one. That's a lot of damage on this Ahri. And that pick, you know, the turnaround there on the bottom side, the over-indexing from Bro is going to mean that they have control over the dragon. They're going to have that dragon prio. As it looked like when we were looking at the picture-in-picture that this was started off by Bro, but actually it was Rich who started this off, and Morgan. It jumped in like right here, like, oh, Morgan's winning. Apollo flashes in, they actually don't get the kill. And then Yehu shows up, and things change. As Paulo's so deep, cannot get away. Ando plays as well. Nocturnal comes out just for the additional damage. But this is a really big pick. And it is going to, of course, with all the damage onto Morgan, give them that prio. Morgan goes straight to top lane. His teleport is up, so he can join the fight. Does have his ultimate coming online as well. But DRX, this is their dragon to lose at this point.
Yeah. They have a lot of control over this area. They got Senna down there. Morgan's waiting. You know, maybe TP's in for the fight after taking the turret down. But just thinking about it for now. There's the turret, and now he's TPing. So yes, we will be fighting over this objective, but they're already on it.
It's too late, I think.
Yeah. I mean, they're zoning them away as well. Yehu trying to do his best at that, but this objective will go the way of DRX. Smite comes in. Fight trying to be forced here by the side of Bro. They're going to get their Gwen in it as the Paranoia is used, and it looks like Ando might be sacrificed here. If they can get this kill over to Bull, that will be huge.
I think that's exactly what they're looking to do.
They definitely should, and they will. That's a very good call, as he does get a massive cash in. Has 2,100 gold now.
Yeah, that was pretty huge, and that puts him at 1,500, maybe even more than that, over his counterpart in Lazy Feel. IE is completed on the play, so massive here. Now, I really thought if you had this moment for Bro, should have ulted instantly Krako onto Yehu there. Instead, waits for a moment as they're trying to close the gap and then misses his ultimate, doesn't even hit Andil. And then the Paranoia actually used really well here for the disengage for DRX, but unfortunately Andil going the wrong way to escape, and the kill will go over the Bull, pick up all that money. Bam, that's Infinity Edge.
And basically Infinity money.
Yes.
와, 야 맛있다 진짜.
So
나
delicious.
개이득이야. 나 이거 1,100원 먹었어. 1,400원.
His first kill of the game.
He got 1,400, he said.
1,400.
Big money. And now we're in fighting over the blue buff. The Sponge in a lot of trouble. He's quite tanky actually for an Nocturne, but he's still gonna go down as Clorky gets the kill. And we got a 1v1 on the left side here. Morgan just bullying Rich out a little bit. No Baron just yet, but we got a minute until it. Just gonna be the kill for now.
Yehu looking for something.
Okay. He's making plays. He's trying to do something. He's going back in, and he's got one more charge. He's going to be keeping a close eye on that one. The charm is very good, but can they get the follow-up? Yes, they will actually. Lazyfield going to get that one, as now one stun could do it. Morgan just going to snip him to death instead, as they do go very deep for this, but now Rich is here. Looking to get the follow-up. This Ambesta could go crazy in this fight, as Bo is in a lot of trouble. He will be going down. Clorky can't get away. That's another one going to Rich, as he has gone insane mode in this fight, and he will pick up the double by the end of it all.
This is really reminiscent of the Game 1 fight, where you were winning it, you could have walked away, and you just went all in and did not have enough control. It starts off with a fight here on the blue buff. Paulo gets the stun. They get the initial pick on the Sponge, you think, right? Ultimately does go down, but then Krako gets charmed. And here, you could just walk away. You could just walk away, right? They do stick around. Charm goes through here in a closer. He takes half of his health bar of damage, and Lazyfield chunks him down further. And yes, an ultimate does come through here from Bull, which actually does quite a bit of damage. And that, I think, might have been the moment where they're like, okay, Bull's ult, we got the turn here, this is going to work out. But Yehu actually has the dash, buys some additional space here, and Lazyfield avoids everything. Rich is re-engaged, gets the knock up on the Morgan, and then Lazyfield and Rich just clean up the fight. No one can get on top of that root, keeping Krako just far enough at bay. The Clorky can't get in there. Krako does finally get the kill. But who cares? It's a Sejuani who also then dies. And so 4 kills now for Lazyfield, 4 kills for Rich. And Bros still technically have a gold lead, but I'm not liking what I'm seeing. It's like just like in Game 1 where I was like, okay, well, they're playing the early game well, everything's looking good. They still have a gold lead technically, but if they're gonna play like that, I'm not sure if I can trust they're gonna get it done. But you already said it, we've already talked about it. Do the drafts fully matter here? Do gold leads and advantages necessarily matter? Not in my Rise group, baby.
Yeah, we need to see the execution. We saw Execute yesterday. It's
yeah,
not quite the same thing. He was very good at executing extremely aggressive plays. He knew what execution meant. Our teams need to figure that out. But
yeah,
can they? I don't know. I'm not convinced. I like what Yehu did in that last fight.
Yeah.
That was very aggressive, and it worked. That's kind of how you have to play Ahri, I feel.
He's finding these really crazy charm angles that it seems like shouldn't be possible, but he keeps locking them down. And, you know, with Lazy Feel also almost dying like 3 times, but then living and adding all that extra sustain into the fight. I don't know how many stacks he's on, because they haven't clicked on him in a while, or not when I was paying attention, but, I mean, we're at 27 minutes in, so he's probably getting, you know, 75, 80 plus at this point, that you have to imagine. I mean, he's starting to really hit hard and hit from far away. And, you know, we mentioned the Otacon, could see that Morgan is a level down on Rich, so that is just making the side lane all the easier. Rich also a full item up ahead, or half an item, I suppose, ahead of Morgan. But my point is the Gwen isn't doing the Gwen things. Dragon is spawning here. Bro have another opportunity to team fight for it. You know, right now Morgan has bottom side control, but isn't actually relevant in the fight as Yehu's looking for a really cool angle. Love that control ward.
You got the Poppy ult here. Finally going to come through, but that's just the Nautilus. And Yehu's here. I mean, it's going to do a huge chunk, and that sets up the Ambessa perfectly. As will they even get the kill? I'm not even sure. There's a ton of pokers come out. They're going to get a couple of kills outside of that, but the snowball continues rolling as they get that Ocean Drake, and they win a big team fight.
That might have been the palm getting play here for Yehu if they can actually close this one out. He's had so many good charms this game, and in that last moment, hides behind the pit. They have a control ward, and he sees everything. He's spying on them, as then he goes in for the engage with the Ambessa. Rich angles it well, so it doesn't go too deep. If he messes it up a little bit too high there, then it actually goes too deep into the fight, but he angles it perfectly, so they end up getting that initial pick. And that is a second Ocean Drake going over to DRX, but more importantly, the fight win and the Baron, as there's just no way. Kraku got up for 5 seconds, and, I mean, Bull doesn't even have ult, so I don't think they're really worried about anything. They have a control ward in the pit. I mean, it's almost interesting that Bro even showed up to be in the area, because it's gone. That's what I'm really getting at. Now watch Yehu here, control vision in the pit. And when the ult knocks away the Nautilus, that's when Morgan and Krako go into the pit. Charm goes through. Ambessa angled here onto the Gwen, not onto the Sejuani there critically. Also the angle there for Lazy Field pushes Morgan out of the fight. And then it's Reset City here. Yehu making a play on the flank angle there. Just kind of sloppy from Bro. Not checking corners, so to speak. And Morgan just kind of going in there. Once they knocked the Nautilus away, they're like, all right, well, that was our 5v4. Now's our time. Now we burn the objective. But all the while that Ahri was missing, they didn't know where she was.
Yeah. Like a traditional flank, I don't think would have done a lot, but you mentioned it before, like the Ambessa, if it gets set up, it can be very powerful, but that's exactly what he did. He was hitting a front target from a weird angle, but it's a guaranteed charm, essentially, if they don't know where you're coming from. So it just sets up the Ambessa perfectly, whereas if Lazy Field's in their face or even flanking, maybe Rich isn't in range, or, you know, they can dodge the charm, they can flash it, whatever they want to do. So just a really intelligent play.
And you have to be,
Yehu.
I mean, there's really, at this point, almost 3 carries for Bro, but you have to be really well set up to use them. If your comp is getting picked apart piece by piece like that, it's a really scrappy fight, then it doesn't matter that you still have a Draven, that you still have a Corki. It's just not going to work out, as now this is going to be another inner down. DRX, 4,000, 5,000 nearly on the table here for the gold lead that they have. And I mean, this push continues, and I don't think Bro really have a ton of opportunity here. They have some flank wards, but you don't really have engaged flankers, right? You have a Gwen and you have a Corki, so if they see you on the flank, they just turn on you and kill you. And even if they don't, I don't know if you could really make a play here. They kind of just have to sit back and watch their inhibitor turrets go. I mean, they have plenty of flank wards, but I just don't think that sending Morgan into the backline there is a recipe for success. Nor do I think leaving the inhibitor up and walking away is necessarily a recipe for success either, but I think they started to get scared about flank wards.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't have the exact timer on the Baron, but maybe it's getting pretty close to timing out. Either way, they just elect to not go for it. They had a huge wave in bot. I feel like that bot inhibitor at least.
Yeah, I
thought gone down.
I thought that was kind of a shoe-in.
A Bro and shoe-in.
There you go. Finally got that tie-in to the Dagon side story.
Yeah, the shoe knitting.
Scimitar and the Executioner's Calling here for Lazy Field. He is a big Senna Like, this might be the biggest Senna we've seen. I mean, Viper had a monster performance on the pick. I think they ended up ultimately losing in that game, but I think this is like the most late game, fully scaled up and ready to go Senna that we've seen. And LazyField's performance on it so far, even his ults and his timings, his angles have been pretty good. So for Bro, need to somehow find an angle. 92, wow. That's big.
It's a big number.
They need to somehow find an angle to where they can punish Yehu. Like, if Yehu ults in, try to look for a charm, Croco instantly ults him, or Flash Arctic assaults him, kills him first, or they get on to LazyField somehow. Then I think the fights become so playable, because you have 3 carries, You have to be the one that gets the first kill, though. If you start to fall apart, there isn't a front line if Croco dies first. If Morgan gets picked, the damage profiles don't really work out as well as you would like them to. Rich is so tanky. He has a GA, by the way. And, Bro really need to find some angle, some sort of potential pick. LazyField, aggressive. Look at how much range he has, though. It's not even that risky, I guess.
They can't do anything about it. I mean, not with Scimitar, not with his team right there, not this late in the game with this much range. Like, he is just a fountain laser right now. Kind of taking the nickname of his of the guy he replaced in Teddy at this point in the game. Trying to turn on to Rich here, but again, he has GA, and the turn from the side of DRX is so quick. And Bro, seriously underestimating the ability for them to turn into this one as Paulo gets the knockaway. But this fight is already over. I mean, Bull is charmed. He's dead. It's a triple. We got a penta angle for LazyField. Quadra comes in.
One more.
Paulo's on the run. He's not going to give this one over. He is quickly running to the fountain. And I don't think he's going to give the penta over, but it's still going to be a win here for DRX.
You deny the penta, but you can't stop the DRX upset that only Wadid saw coming.
Paulo's back. He's going in. He's giving it over. And it goes to Sponge.
Oh, man, LazyField, he said something really loud when that happened, and I'm not sure what he said, but it might.
Oh, no.
We'll either find out what he said in the closing comms, or it will be edited out. GG to this one. DRX upset Bro. We had a long and crazy pause. I thought we were maybe going to get the rare 4-gamer in this series, but no chrono break, but LazyField does end up nearly getting a penta. But my vote is going to Yehu in the mid lane. It wasn't always the best and cleanest decision-making from the player who steps in after nearly a year here for DRX, but when it came to clutching out the fights and outplaying his opposition here, who was the favorite, closer has looked so good, but Yehu really had his number in so many big fights. The Talia game, say what you will about the Weaver's Walls, but the shoves, the extra side lane, the big power there. The Ahri game, arguably more impressive.
I mean, he should be the POM. After Daystar got it yesterday, we have no idea who's going to get it, but that's who I would put my vote to. Sponge says, it's Yehu. And Yehu says, yeah, I know. It's me. I can't believe that Sponge stole LazyField's penta.
Also, like, we might have to start having a conversation about, like, giving pentas to people. Like, I don't think that's allowed. I don't think Paulo's supposed to do that.
Yeah.
I'm actually almost happy that Sponge denied it because it feels cheap, and if we're just going to decide to give people pentas now, that was never a thing before.
Yeah.
Not like this. Not like I'm literally running in because my team said don't be that guy who doesn't give the penta. But anyway.
Be the guy who doesn't give the penta.
Be the guy who doesn't give the penta. If you don't get the penta, you don't get the penta.
Yeah. Like, don't run away.
Are we watering down pentas now? Is that what we're doing?
I remember back in my day, pentas were real. Nowadays, they're just cheap.
Man, I feel like back in the days, somebody would lose a game to not give a penta.
Probably not a good idea. I wouldn't recommend that. Give the penta and win. That's definitely a better idea.
Yeah, but this was not that case. This was just an attempt to give a penta that failed. Thanks to
Sponge knows underneath. He's like, nah, I'm not going to give this penta. It's not real. Nah, I got to take it away.
I mean, I think there was enough time for him to get it, to be honest.
I think so.
It was just on the edge. Like, I don't know, maybe that'll be a space segment or something. Maybe it was already worn off, but I think he had like just 2 seconds or so left on it. Either way, I don't want to talk about that moment because it led to a lot of other moments. But man, Bro had so much control in this game. Their lead, like we mentioned it right after this, we're like, wow, this is the biggest lead we've seen in this series.
Yeah.
But just these scrappy team fights and the decision making and sides,
The Bull cash in.
Bull gets the
23 minutes of Blue Blades.
And then we end up in these fights where Bro over chase. They overforce. Like this is
the fight.
This is the big moment, right? Like everything misses. Rich comes in for the re-engage. Lazyfield just kites back. And if Lazyfield gets a few POM votes, it's going to be for plays like this where he actually positioned really well here and maximized what Senna can do in this moment.
He got the triple quadruple in this game, by the way.
Guy was just insane. So, although I hope Yehu gets POM, I do think like if VN casts toss their vote in, see a few media votes, I'm like, you know what, it's fine. All right, let's see what he says.
We won.
This is the part I'm looking for. Calling for the Penta.
Please.
Oh no. Video is taken before disaster.
이걸 막아? 레전드. 뽀삐 노공이야.
But then, with Apollo has a change of heart.
레전드 라인. 펜타 아니야.
They think it's not a Penta.
They think it's not a Penta. Jonas Strong had different ideas. With the zoom in on the Sponge there. Oh man.
So you know what? Maybe Palu was Giga big brain. He's like, I'm not giving you the Penta. Oh, I'll give you my life. Oh, too bad you missed the Penta angle. Maybe that, I don't know. This series.
Yeah. Also, he had an angle where he's like, I was just trying to clear the wave. I wasn't trying to give the Penta.
Everyone at home, by the way, everyone at home, I just want to remind everyone, this is our first series. We have Genji against KT Rolster, an undefeated Genji against KT Rolster up next. So
there are no expectations for KT. None.
I just zero. If you thought this was crazy, actually, there's only one thing that could top it, and we know what it potentially could be. And we'll have to see if it happens, Valdez.
Yeah. My original prediction was that it wouldn't happen, but now I feel like all bets are off. Like this, it could happen. It probably will because of what we've gone through today. Like we started game 3 like an hour and a half ago. It was quite a while, but we made it through.
Arguably, yeah. Yeah, I'm still alive.
We're
still alive.
We're changed men. We're changed people.
Is Degon okay? I want to see if Degon's okay.
We're gonna hear from him in the future, and that's a little preview.
He's moving. He's moving at
preview.
least. Yeah, he's not okay. He's alive.
He's still alive. He's still kicking.
Get it together, Degon. There's a lot more season left. This is just round 2.
It's not even the majority of the season yet.
You think it's not going to be tougher later?
Wow.
You think bros aren't going to have bigger struggles later, Degon? Come on. Lazyfield did numbers.
Yeah. Honestly, Rich and Lazyfield had great games too, but Yehu was the POM.
I think it has to be. I would have voted for Paulo if Bro won, to be honest. He had a pretty good series. I'm out. He had a good series, okay? I'll give it to him. Like, his Kai'Sa was really good in game 1. His Kai'Sa was good in game 1.
Kai'Sa was good too.
Well, what's going on? Are we voting for narrative? Are we voting for game 3?
Voting for narrative, yes. He didn't even get the Penta. He got denied the Penta. Well, Senna seems pretty good. Lazyfield was pretty good on Senna as well.
I was going to say Lazyfield looks pretty good, though. Like
he does.
That was one of the only Senna games we've seen with non-fasting Senna, like where Senna's farming, and the number goes like really big. Usually it's like Senna did a lot of utility. She got stronger later, but she wasn't doing 20,000 damage worth of big. That was a big Senna game.
It was big damage, big stacks, and it's a big interview on the way with Lazyfield. I'm going to hand it over to Deer for the translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the POM interview translation. We are here with Lazyfield on the side of DRX. Congratulations! This is your first POM and everyone is going so wild for you. And with the round 2 coming to an end, you took a meaningful victory. How do you feel?
Dạ thì lần đầu tiên em được POM ở LCK nên là em cảm thấy rất là vui ạ.
LCK에서 POM 받는 게 처음이라서 행복이 터질 것
No, this is my
같습니다.
first POM in the LCK, and I am just bursting with excitement, and I'm so happy.
현재까지 한국에서의 무대 경험이 어떤지 궁금합니다.
And so far, playing on the stage in Korea, how has your experience been? How are you liking it playing with your teammates?
Mình bình thường mình ở nhà với nhau như thế nào?
Bình thường thì em với mọi người sống của mình là không có gì khó khăn hết, nên là cũng không có gì đặc biệt xảy ra, thì sống rất là vui ạ.
네, 저희는 어려움 없이 잘 지내고 있습니다.
You know, there are no difficulties. We're really getting along very well, our whole team. And today, Yehu played as the mid starter today, and with not enough time to play together, what was the practice process like?
Chưa có nhiều á, thì không biết là mình đã phối hợp với nhau tốt không?
Thì thật ra em với Yehu đã đánh ở LCK Cell rồi, nên là khi mà Yehu có được con up lên thì em nghĩ là cũng phối hợp bình thường đấy ạ.
네, 사실 저랑 예우 선수 2군에서 같이 지낸 시간을 좀
To be honest,
있었으니까
you know, I think us having experience playing in CL with me and Yehu, I think despite the lack of practice in LCK, I think it was really easy to get used to and adjusted as a team. And Kalista has been a popular pick lately, but she's still a high ban card. So with DRX giving her away in game 1, what are your thoughts on Kalista?
Vì team của em đã gặp Kalista rất là nhiều, kể cả đánh giải hay là đánh trong luyện tập, nên là em tự tin với việc bên kia sẽ beat Kalista và sẽ có tướng để đối đầu, nên là team em không nghĩ về nhiều Kalista rồi.
네, 사실 저희 팀의 LCK에서도 또 스크림에서도 상대로 칼리스타는
To be honest, on LCK and during scrims, I think we had a lot of experience with Kalista. And I think we were just comfortable giving Kalista away. And we just mainly focused on just playing out our own game afterwards. And in game 2, there was an incident where we got a Rek'Sai pick all of a sudden. And Rich looked so flustered, and Sponge looked furious. So, what did you guys say to each other?
Thì lúc đó là mọi người có thấy được là cái biểu cảm của tuyển thủ Sponge lúc đó là không có được vui lắm ấy, có vẻ là anh ấy hơi bị giận một tí. Thì không biết là tình huống thật sự lúc đó như thế nào?
Thì lúc đầu thì tính bích cho mình là tên đồ, nhưng mà anh Rich ảnh bấm vào khu rừng, sau đó tìm tên đồ thì tên đồ không có ở đó mà nó nằm ở vị trí top, nên là nó đã random bích và red side. Thì lúc đó chắc là Spongy ảnh bất ngờ nên là ảnh hơi hoảng rồi.
사실 그 당시에 그 화난 거보다는 좀 당황했습니다.
In the moment, we weren't really, well, Sponge wasn't actually angry or furious. He was actually pretty flustered, and it's because Rich, because we were supposed to pick Trundle. I think that's what really made him really flustered, because we were just talking about, you know, what we were going to play top and jungle, and because Trundle wasn't the one that we saw on the screen, I think that's why everyone was a little flustered there. And in game 3, the enemy picked Draven after seeing your Senna, revealing their intention to take Prio and play aggressively in lane. So what was the game plan?
Thì em nghĩ là khi mà team của em thì sẽ không nghĩ về Raven đâu, nhưng mà chắc có em nghĩ là về Raven, nên là khi ở lượt 4 và lượt 5 thì em tính kêu mọi người là ban thử đi, nhưng mà không ngờ đối phương bút ở lượt 3, nhưng mà em cảm thấy là Gumarashi trong tay của Raven trong tay Gumarashi Kera mới đáng sợ, nên là em nghĩ cứ farm là win thôi ạ.
네, 사실 저희는 드래곤은 예상하지 않았는데 저만
No, Draven wasn't an expected pick, but we were just thinking, you know, there's no way maybe there will be a Draven, but, you know, obviously the enemy played Draven, and in my experience, you know, Gumayushi's Draven might be pretty scary. I think this time around, though, maybe it wasn't as intimidating, so that actually made the game a lot easier. And in game 3, we almost got your first pentakill, but we got a Sponge penta steal instead. So are you okay with this?
Em chỉ quan tâm tới chiến thắng, nhưng mà lúc đó em có kêu penta thật, nhưng mà em nghĩ chiến thắng thì sẽ quan trọng hơn, nên là có ăn thì cũng không sao ạ.
네, 사실 그때는 제가 펜타는
You know, in the
하긴
moment,
했는데 저한테는
I did call for that penta. I said penta, but you know, in the end, what matters the most, what I care about the most is that we win. So no, I don't resent Sponge. And there's only one match remaining in round 2, and it is against KT. What mindset will you play with?
Em nghĩ là phải thi đấu tốt và lấy chiến thắng cuối cùng để lấy tinh thần và luyện tập cho giai đoạn tiếp theo ạ.
저희는 꼭 열심히 하고 그 다음에
We will
이기고
try our best
기반으로 그 다음
and make sure that we win.
좀 더 열심히 하고 좀 더 좋은 결과를 보여드리겠습니다. 감사합니다.
And we'll make sure that we do even better moving forward. Thank you so much for your support. And that's the end of the interview with Lazy Feel and Back to the Space. Thank you.